Looks like we're in the clear. The capital's just through this desert.
Is it true then? The king is dead?
Aye, and the guards are more concerned with the funeral than keeping the roads safe. So now the monsters are roaming in broad daylight. No soldiers to stop them.
Monsters, huh? I've certainly been hearing the stories.
To say nothing of the vacant throne. There's a storm coming. Mark my words. That much is certain.
What's the problem?
They're bandits!
Come on, let's see some respect for the militia! Us folk, we're commoners. No crown or church will save us.
But Lord Luis will save us one and all. All we ask is no tribute. You're with us or against us? And if you're against us...
An igniter? How'd they get one of those?
Come on, hey, keep it moving up. Next one. Huh? Look at you. What have we got here? He's an elder. So he is. No horns, no knife ears. Filthy gremlin like you. What you got in the capital? Oh, what's this? Looks like you've been holding out on us, boy. Hold it! Should have listened to us, chum. Now fall in line! Let's want to get stuck like us!
You drew steel. I take it you are prepared to die by it.
Stand aside!
To whomever finds this book, I hope you find this misplaced and not on my hollowed corpse. My name is Makoto, or at least that's the only name I can remember. And I've been tasked with a quest, something my fairy friend will not stop reminding me about. Her name is Gallica. Sadly, our trip to the capital was besieged by raiders with magical powers, but was swiftly handled by a woman with long red hair and pointy ears. But alas, I couldn't give my thanks to her, as I found myself in a desert with all sorts of creatures, but thanks to Faye's side and music from Gallica, the trip wasn't so bad. Well, actually.
Not good! Run for it!
This land of 8 tribes and 3 nations, all blessed by the power of magic. The United Kingdom of Uchronia. The year is 785. Uchronia is shaken to the core by the sudden death of its king. Anxiety breeds dissent among the tribes. Disparities tear them apart, and no mortal mind remembers the heroic tales upon which their land was built. By this story of fantasy, may this faded world be painted anew.
Whoa, just look!
Whoa.
on with it then! Drop the dog! Hang him dead!
Please! I've done nothing wrong!
Lying dog! Don't try to deny it! You trample the law for the fun of it!
Let it be known, for misuse of an igniter, you will hang by the neck until dead.
Yeah!
There's no way that crowd was going to listen to anything a Paribus said.
Such a shame. Might you spare some coin? Bless you. Oh,
Careful!
hurry.
Don't you have any street smarts? Come on, kid! Look, we're not tourists here. We gotta stay focused.
Right.
You noticed back on the wagon? You might be the only elder here, in the whole city even.
We finally made it to the capital, though it was, as I expected and have seen, a diverse group of races, although most of them don't get along sadly. But that is how life is around here. I too am affected by this being an Eldian, but hearing all the murmurs on the street about the king's death and other occurrences reminds me of my mission, one that I cannot waver on.
The king dead, his son stricken. Are there none left to bear the weight of the crown?
We've done all in our power, but not even the kingdom's.
Over 10 years he has languished under this curse. How much longer can his body hold out? No doubt His Highness would protest. But since he cannot, we have no choice. For the man who cursed His Highness and murdered our king, there can be no mercy. I never thought I would have to ask this of you. But there are so few of us left now. There is no one else to turn to. Will you infiltrate the military to deliver a message to our contact there? This is your mission. For all our sakes, you cannot fail.
Though, Gallagher has to break me out from my daydreaming. Regardless, we must carry on, and talking to all sorts of colourful people in the city, we're here to join the guard. And the person before me was quite an interesting fellow, getting the guards captain all riled up. But he was a right old bugger, honestly. But they're looking for people to work, or really just bodies to throw into a pile, I'd say. Though I can't be mad since the first step has been completed, and I went to get my army-issued gear and map, but I had to deal with a rowdy bloke. Thankfully, the guy from before used his silver tongue, or really ready to scrap to stop his complaining. He seemed to be promising he may be a help in the future. Who knows? Though, it does not matter, as the mission comes first, and after getting a right old grilling from the captain, I head to my quarters for the night. But me and Gallagher had some small talk about things, mainly prejudice and some things I don't want to think about, which she apologized for and led to her wanting to read the book that I hold on to me at all times. A gift from the prince himself, and I let her read it.
It's what you call a fantasy story, right? So it's a fantasy world made up by the author. The prince loved those kinds of stories. Okay, let's see. It says the young traveler was amazed by the world he saw. In this world, there is only one tribe. All people accept each other, and no soul is born into discrimination. Wow. So not even any fairies? I guess less differences means less to argue over. In such a world, there is no need for sorcery. A megapolis is built through learning and labor. Towers of glass that reach the heavens. Safe nights with no dark shadows. Busy streets well traveled. And in the laws of these emotionally satisfied people, it reads, all lives are equal. Whoa. You see. No magic, no tribal conflict, and equality for all? It really does sound like a fantasy, but it's strange to feel envious of a fictional world. Hey, are you asleep already? You know how hard it is for me to turn these pages on my own? Well, Guess I'll just read more later. Good night.
Shouldn't you be resting? I'm fine. In fact, I'm glad we have this chance to talk. I've been reading, and I hope that someday we can make our kingdom like the place in this book. You said it was some kind of fantasy novel, didn't you? Our lives are decided at birth, by tribal purity, or by the differences that make us who we are. I don't want that to be the world we live in. The Elder here are a perfect example. If you'd not sheltered me, I would never have survived. And yet, they burned your home down. It's tragic, and no one should have to suffer so. Someone needs to fix... You okay? Don't push yourself so hard. Reality is much too cruel. I know that. But I'll fight it. I'll fight to the end. I'm a prince. But I need to be a hero. One worthy of the throne. A hero? One who can lead. A beacon who will pierce the darkness when all seems lost. My father taught me that. In his stories, the kingdom was full of legendary heroes. So I can't give up. In my ideal world, people can believe in their future. Their birth doesn't matter. Not that I expect it will be easy. I believe in you. Familiar words. When I'm down, when I struggle, you're always there to help me through it. Let's do it. You'll be a hero. Trust me. I won't give up either. Trust me.
Until arrival at the northern border fort, one day remains.
We've been on this carriage for a whole day. We've still got another one before we finally arrive to this crawling training the captain talked about. But also the contact. I have my concerns, but I have my ways to keep myself busy. I just wish the ride wasn't murder on my arse. But alas.
The carriage transporting the new recruits arrives at its destination. The northern border fort. The towering fortress was even now, soldiers are sent there for its strategic importance to the royal capital and to combat the rising waves of monsters. Fresh-faced soldiers disembark from their coaches at the foot of a steep ascent to the fort, the first of many uphill battles.
We arrived somewhat away from the fort, Captain Klinger goes on his spiel. Me and the guy who's been friendly with me ask me why I'm so interested in the book the prince gave me. I see he has noticed that, so I tell him it's one world united as one tribe. He understands, calling it a utopia, something I agree with him wholeheartedly, which is when he finally introduced himself as Stroll, Leon Stroll, son of the Count of Halia. But something seems to be going on inside the fort as an injured guard comes looking for help. This doesn't bode well, of course. This might mean a contact is in danger, or worse. But we'll have to see before making assumptions. We make it to the fort, but looking up, there's bellowing smoke, the smell of ash and fire, but also the permeating smell of death. I steel my resolve and open the door.
There it is. That's a human.
Stand your ground! Charging! Pursue! We have to help the survivors.
What in Uchronia is this? These are beyond monsters, disgusting creatures, taking aspects of the human form like legs, but still utterly monstrous. We have to move on though. They'll get in our way, but we'll kill them nonetheless. Sadly, almost everyone in the castle is dead. Even when offered assistance, they'd rather die than have a lesser tribe help. It's sad, but in a way, I was expecting that. Regardless, the mission is still the top priority. I know not if our contact is dead, but that'll have to wait until we've stopped what attacked this fort as we head to the top of the fort. What in Uchronia are humans? What being could create such nightmares? They seem to enjoy the pain they cause. Are they just an offshoot of another tribe? Or maybe a demonic ritual? Is that why this human has the appearance of a man, arms and legs, but then like a rotting, disgusting apple, has vines ripping from its bodies, blades for feet, and that long tongue I wish to cut from its mouth? But it will be a tall task, as we're effortlessly wiped out. Stroll decided to sacrifice himself, but I can't. I won't let that happen.
Stroll! Don't be a fool. Just run for it.
Oh, fate-saddled child. Oh, anguished traveler. Thy fate is crown-twined, thy soul bound for the throne. The future yet unknown dawns in this moment. Thy path may fork, but only one may be chosen. Confront the threat before thee, or die here in obscurity. Now choose.
I choose.
So be it. Heroism lies in the soul that stands firm against its fears. Power awaits thy command. The time is come to awaken the hero within. Engrave thy very heart.
It seems my voice has reached the heavens, but I won't complain with what I got. I will destroy that vile thing. Since this is a tutorial boss, there's not too much to really say other than I handed it its ass. We break each part of its body and then finish him off.
Wind!
With the human defeated, a voice talks to me deep in my heart. I do not know what it is, but it's saying that I've awakened the true spirit of a hero, and I heed that knowledge. More importantly though, Stroll survived. I tend to him, but I'll admit, I am not a medic, so I mainly hoped it wasn't fatal wounds. As our contact arrives, Gallican recognizes him and tells us we should move as the smell of blood will attract monsters, and thus we head into the forest. With a peaceful place chosen, we get to talking. It seems that Gallica and our contact, an older man who's named Grius, have known each other for some time, but with formalities done, Gallica gave him the message: avenge the king and kill Luis Guillerburn. He seems more than happy to do it, and we even shown him the current state of the prince, the thorns wrapped around his slumbering body, ready to consume him at any moment. Apparently this Luis person is the one who did such a cruel thing to the prince, but I'll be honest, I don't know who Luis Guillerburn is. I know people hold him in high regard, but that's it. Thankfully, Grius is happy to tell, even if he seemed baffled.
About 15 years ago, a child enlisted in the army. But it wasn't his age that had people talking. It was his ruthless military genius. Hero to some, monster to others. Luis Guillerburn, a prodigal tactician and a master of Magla arts. Some said it was only a matter of time before he made general. The young...
Until he attacked the prince.
That night, when the prince's quarters were breached, it was no ordinary mage who cast that fatal curse. It was Luis Guillerburn himself. But the son's death wasn't enough for him. Now he's got the father's blood on his hands. And if that king-slaying fiend ends up on the throne, we're all doomed.
But when we were exploring the royal capital, there were a lot more Luis supporters than I expected. How can they still trust him after all that?
Luis is cunning. He left no evidence. Accuse him as you will, but the allegations wouldn't stick. All they could do was send him as far away as possible. A post in the middle of nowhere. Plenty of soldiers never believed the charges in the first place. When they look at him, they see a capable veteran unjustly made into the noble scapegoat. Most think the Royal Army was at its best when he was in charge. And in truth, it's hard to deny. Without him, we'd never have crushed the rebel uprising so quickly. Damn the man. But he's earned his titles. He's mastered the blade, magic, and he's clearly intelligent. To the masses who want change, he seems the savior they need.
If even you're that worried about him, this isn't going to be easy.
With his talk over, the battered and bruised troll gets up, wanting in on the mission, as Grius, understandably, is ready to strike him down. Stroll isn't one to back down, must be a part of his noble blood. Though I agree with Gallica, the more hands we have, the better. Grius asks why he would save me, and it was confirmed he will live and die a noble. With that, Grius relents. With Stroll joining us, a team of misfits are ready to kill an archmage. Somehow. Though we're limited on the ways to get there since the world thinks we're dead, and will likely kill us if they found out we weren't, so we will go by the abandoned mine tomorrow, and go from there, and thus we make camp for tonight. Now that we have a moment to talk, we learn more about humans, which isn't much, just that they're protected by Magala, and your average tribe can't hope to hurt him. And due to that, they've caused untold amount of death to travelers. I still wonder how or who created such abominations. They're simply not from this realm. He also told us the likely way will kill Luis, a quick and simple assassination. I have my doubts, but doubting will reduce the chance of it working, so I'll hope for the best. As the night draws to an end, me and Gallica talk more about the events that transpired, since the ground makes for an awful bed. She heard a voice too, asking her to guide me. I wonder what that's all about. It's like a fantasy, like the book that Gallica wishes for me to read. I wonder what it's all about as I drift asleep.
Well, hello. Nice to meet you. I've been waiting. And now you've acquired a most interesting power. You truly are an intriguing one.
I find myself in a library with a young, pale man. He's the author of the fantasy book I hold close to my heart. When I'm in deep thought with his pages, he has a connection with me, which is how I am here in academia. Alas, the man, named Moore, tells me he is trapped inside the quiet halls, never imagining his voice would reach another's, asking if I'd like to join an alliance. I ask him what it would entail, and it's simply that he wishes to see my powers grow. These powers are called archetypes, and the power in its truest form represents a true hero, but he's never seen someone wield the power I possess, so he believes I will master it, and asked for a handshake. Having this power saved me and Stroll's life, and it will save more lives, so I accept the deal. As we form a bond, with that bond formed, he wishes me well, and we'll see again, something I believe too, as I return to my slumber.
The royal funeral draws ever closer. 5 days remain.
We've got a long day ahead of us. As we start with some small talk, Grius seems to somewhat know what my new power is, even if it's very loosely, saying it's found in those who walk a righteous path. And of course that he's still suspicious of Stroll, which understandable, but for now, he's gonna play nice as we've made our preparations and going to Nord Mines.
Its proximity to the capital simplified crystal excavation, but the Sanctus Church's sudden proclamation of closure exiting the forest, the party continues along the wooded road leading to the derelict mine.
As we're moving closer and closer to the mine, Stroll has a hunch, thinking we're being followed. It's possible, honestly, but Grius thinks it's just an excuse, and he's gonna make a runner, but we'll just have to wait and see as we find our way to the mine's entrance. But it looked like Stroll was right as we were ambushed by some guards, but we made quick work of them, but that does mean we're being pursued. I wonder how they knew we were coming. I doubt it was Stroll, probably just a human cover-up. Regardless, we're gonna see more of them as we're now in the mines. But it might have been a bad choice, as we're now trapped, with only one way out, as the other side is barricaded with soldiers, so we're just gonna have to fight forward. Something quite easy, as these troopers are inexperienced, even more than me, and go down in seconds. But on our travels, we see an innocent miner dying, being used as a bargaining chip. Either we surrender or more die. This enrages Stroll, but I know we must keep going despite the bloodshed. We're face to face with the fat man, Captain Klinger. Stroll was expecting him since he wasn't at the fort and would have survived. He's surprised we survived as Stroll is enraged at the whole thing, using people as bait for the humans, but Klinger says it how it is. The kingdom's guard are powerless against a might of a human, and only a mountain of bodies will show the public, which is just an utterly sickening waste of precious life. But from their interaction, they seem to have a past, or at least Stroll knows Klinger's misdeeds, which he does.
7 years ago, the first Flames Day of June, a village in the northern hills was razed to the ground. A village called Harlia.
Oh, yes, that might have been a name.
Then you made a fatal mistake, Klinger.
You left one survivor!
Stay back!
Help me!
You played right into our hands, you know. This was the only road without checkpoints. A simple deduction.
You're a disgrace to your title. I may not make it out alive, but as for you, you're hopeless!
O thou who art seared with bitterness, O thou anguished traveler, It is time for thou to choose thy path. O Lodestar, whose light reveals the king's own path, awaken.
What? What the? Oh, no! I can't fail Lord Luis. Without him, I've got nothing left. You struggle in vain. I won't let you rob me of my glory! This is the way of the real world, little lordling!
You call this real? Leaders abandon their people and the innocent die by their scorn. If that's the real world, then it can die alongside you! My name is Leon Stroll de Haliatus. My home and my family were taken from me. I am the last of my house. I am the last of my noble bloodline. And in the name of my people, I will strike you down where you stand! Come! I will show you a world with honor!
What is this?
Wait! He's got power like yours now? Well, better show him how to use it!
I don't know what you think you're doing, but I'll not cave to an empty threat like that! This igniter's all I need to turn you to ash! You lot, get to it! Cover me!
So he scampers off to protect himself, and his subordinates get to be his living shields. The man's showing his true colors. I'll fix the filthy coward with the end he deserves.
The igniter's powerful, but it takes care and calculation to wield. If you sense danger, steel your defenses and endure it.
The captain was a joke, both as a man and as a fight, using guards to protect him, which fall fast. He did keep up for a while, but he still went down handily. I still don't know how someone like him was able to become a captain. He can't lead something, even if it killed him, which Grius gets the finishing blow.
Luis!
With the captain down and out, we're left to look at the end result. Stroll is shocked at his power, asking how he could do that without an igniter. Grius is just baffled, asking who we truly are, which is when Stroll opens up. He's Leon Stroll, just a fallen noble from the countryside. Klinger mentioned a village that was raised by a human. It was his village. It was Halia. And now he knows what happened. He's reinvigorated, wishing to be not an ally of convenience anymore. Grius, being the guy he is, just says that it was too much trouble keeping an eye on him. And I personally say how I feel. Stroll is a brother to me. That makes him flustered, but with a handshake, a bond is formed. Gallica started to wonder about Stroll's archetype, thinking it awakened soon after mine, wondering what it all means, as suddenly...
Huh? Wait, what?
I'm back at Academia once more, as Moore wishes me well, and this time Gallica followed us. He's shocked, thinking fairies were long extinct, asking if they took refuge in the Elden Sanctum. He remarks at Stroll's new power, asking me if I remember when he said archetypes are the original form of magic. I pretend I remember that. He continues, saying we mortals suffer under the weight of our own burdens, but when we face that anxiety and make it our power, we find freedom. And those who overcome those hardships and embody the virtues of within are passed down as heroic tales. Stroll's awakening was tied to me. He awakened to the archetype that protects me. That's when Gallica tries to protect me for some reason, but due to that, Moore sees our bond, which she agrees with, and I do as well, which leads to another archetype, which shocks Gallica as Moore is just fascinated by it all, asking if I understand what happened with me connecting with others who found their resolve. I've awakened to a new strength, and I can share that strength. Moore telling me I can share it with Grius if I desired it. Moore is unsure, however, if it's the archetype or me that is doing it, but he calls me remarkable, adding for me to seek the answers. But now we get a small tutorial on how it all works, and with that done and a kitty pat, we're back to the real world. But in the real world, we were just standing there like zombies. Or at least that's how Stroll worded it out. But I gave them a quick talk about what I've learned. Grius is just floored, asking who I am, really. But we don't have time to talk, as there's 5 days left until the funeral, and times are wasting. Sadly, Klingon got away. I'm shocked he was able to run that fast. I guess looks can be deceiving. Anyways, we head deeper into the mines. More creatures that lurk these areas, slimes and snakes and all sorts of things. Nothing we can't handle, but deeper inside the cave we found a door with an ominous black fog seeping from under. We enter inside and we see a mysterious crystal. Apparently it's a crystal of pure magla, and next to it it's a human. At least it wasn't disgusting looking, just odd as it's protecting the crystal and attacks us. I wasn't ready for this boss, admittedly. I'm still getting used to Metaphor's gameplay, and I didn't expect the boss to have a concentrate spell, but also to test the player's knowledge on using front and back row. I was left to do a small bit of grinding. I knew it was weak to ice, but I had to be able to fight it quick and have minimal casualties. Thankfully, it always attacked the front, so with Stroll as bait, our plan started to form, but it was still a slog. I had an item to decrease its defense, and giving Makoto the mage archetype for that added ice oomph, but it was still a hard-fought battle. But Makoto finished it off with its one weakness.
Heal him! Me!
With the human threat cleared, we're left with the swirling crystal. Gallica wonders what it is, but like she said, if the humans like it, it's no good, as I destroy it. And with that, we kept going forwards. It was quite a crazy end of the cave though, not only a sleeping dragon, but some sneaking to not awaken the beast, and to wrap all the crazy stuff that's happened, we ran for our lives out of there. With our escape from the mines, a storm is there to welcome us, which means that our trip is over for today. We'll set up camp and get a carriage, which just like Gallica, I'm super excited for as night came. We're all sitting around the campfire as Stroll opens up more about his past, and talks about the incident 7 years ago. And I'd be honest and say that his parents were true heroes. And I can now see why Stroll is the way he is. But that's not the only person opening up tonight, as Gallica believes Grius should tell Stroll about the prince. Although the sword I used was to confirm I was the messenger, the sword was originally the Highness's. He started to talk more about the prince, things I can see him doing. He was a free spirit, but then 12 years ago, on a night raining just like this one.
Your Highness, this way! Who led these blackguards into the palace?
My lord, are you hurt?
Back! A royal knight. A wench and nothing more.
You knave! You know nothing of true knighthood. I pledged my life to the prince, and I'll not lose it to you! Highness!
Don't falter! Give chase!
Stop! They dare harm him!
With Grius finishing the story, he completes it by saying, regardless of all the healers in the capital, no one could save him. We may have a hope in curing him, but Lewis will not give that up, which means the ultimate option, to kill the caster to stop the curse. Stroll asks Grius if it's true that Louis killed him, and he is positive, seeing him in the fray, but he was much younger, and for the Highness and the King to kill him is to see justice served. With that story told, Stroll asks me if the mission means a lot to me, and of course it does. Me and the prince are best friends. Stroll is shocked at the weight I carry. It's much greater than he realized, but he owes us his life, and for us to save the country together. Something I wholeheartedly agree, as the night came to an end. However, it seems more wants, well, more from us, confirming a theory that his connection to us is stronger when I'm asleep, adding his happiness for my magic prowess is improving. It continues to talk about the power, adding the more supporters that stand beside me, the stronger it'll become, and it will soar to new heights. Gallagher is left confused as Moore continues that each archetype has their own strengths and weaknesses, and will have little use if they're used thoughtlessly. You can lose your life in seconds on the battlefield. Adding, if I'm unsure how to proceed, he recommends we stop and think, as the smallest observation is often great inspiration. And with those final words, he wishes us well, as the dawn is soon approaching.
The royal funeral draws ever closer. 4 days remain.
There's not really too much to say, all things considered. It's not that hard to hitch a ride with coin and convincing. Let's go with that. And soon enough, we'll be in the capital, ready for the funeral.
Escaping the dragon's threat in the Nord mines, the party shakes their pursuers amidst the discovery of great powers. The royal funeral draws ever closer. 2 days remain.
We finally got a ride to the capital, so we should make it in time for the funeral. It does remind me the last time we were in this position, we got raided by a pack of Luis zealots, but Grius made a good point. We could probably destroy them now. Stroll admits that it's quite strange how fast life can change, but we both did well to kill that human and survive, which he agrees on. One thing I do hope is that the days will be somewhat less eventful, but with the past few days turning everything I knew upside down, I kinda doubt that'll happen, as we're almost at the capital.
The royal funeral draws ever closer. 1 day remains. Escaping the Nord mines, the party hailed a horse-drawn coach and returns now to Grand Trad, capital of Uchronia, the day before the royal funeral. As they gaze upon the city, flags of mourning fluttering in the wind, the magnitude of their mission exacts its toll on the heart.
We made it to the capital at the dead of night. I hear the woes of the people as we pass, as Grius tells us not to draw attention, and we'll be heading to a place called the Hush Honeybee Inn, where we'll talk details of the assassination. It's not the poshest area, to say the least, got called names by someone in the safety of their own home, but regardless of the norm, we made it to the inn. The hostess seems to know him, and even shocking, he has a daughter. We do a round of introducing ourselves. The owner of the inn's name is Fabian, and Grius' daughter is Maria. Maria is sent to take care of a customer, but also so the adults can talk. They seem to be good friends, as Grius asks Fabian to take care of Marie longer, and she agrees, but not only that, but she also treats us to some good grub. Nice to eat some real food after so long. But after dinner, we head upstairs and start to talk about the plan, where Grius confirms it'll only be us that can do this mission, and we finally get to hear it. I'm a Stroll on this. It's a bit mad to take him down in front of thousands, but Grius understands it's risky, but we won't find a better chance to do it, and besides, he is the only one that needs to get close. We just need to distract Luis, adding for us to not rely on our powers, for it draws too much attention. As for him, he's going to use a dagger, much to Stroll's bewilderment, but the way that Grius said it, I have a small bit of faith. Besides, he's seen so much battle, he knows what he's doing. With that, Grius asks for one of us to check on his daughter. He doesn't want this stuff around him, and Stroll is too tired, so it seems to be our job to do it. I strike up a conversation with Maria, asking if she would like to play. She's unsure since it's nighttime, but asks about a book I hold since her father told her about it. So I asked if she would like to read it, together. Marie looked excited but unsure since she has work to do, but Fabian reassures she'll be fine and to read upstairs, and thus we head up to read. She likes the pictures, asking if all books are like that, adding that Fabian taught her how to read since it helps with the inn. Honestly, that's impressive, and I tell her that, so she's pretty happy hearing it. But is also down since Grius always tells her to not go into his room, so she waits for him a lot. I tell her she's strong, and she thanks me for talking to her, and she desires to do it more, and it's a pinky promise. That pinky promise awakens the archetype healer. With a bond formed with Maria, she decides to read a little more before she sleeps, and so I let her.
Alright, I'll try to read this part now. In this country, the inn, the something king hears the voices of the city and protects their way of life. What's this say?
Society's purpose is to protect its citizens. This is a basic principle of this utopia. All are equal, all live in safety, and the rich and poor are as one, with no gaps, no conflict. All are friends, deserving of help. Basically, it's a place where there's no fighting, and everyone always gets along.
Wow. Where is this place? No one gets left alone there, right? I wish I could go. Can I read a little more?
We're probably not going to bed anytime soon.
As dawn breaks, so begins the procession to the Grand Cathedral.
I am writing this after the events of the funeral, and a lot, and I mean a lot, has happened, so let me explain. The morning started fine, talking about the plan and Grius thanking me for spending time with his daughter, which I'm fine with, might want to do it again even, but with our goodbyes to her and Fabian, we head out. But on my way, I saw more spirit hanging around the city, so I decided to read the book and visit him. More welcomes me, and asks for my assistance on something. He'd like for me to cultivate the heroic embodiment of the healer, and since that'll help me and him, I agree on it, and I awaken the power of the healer in my heart. But with my first mission set out by Moore, I head to the Grand Cathedral, where everything changed.
Lots of lords and nobles. Some generals, too. All the big names are here.
Can you see Grius?
I can pick him out. Although I don't see Luis around.
Look there!
The call! What is this? Isn't that the flower straight from the king's garden?
And a common-blooded man bearing them to a funeral? Does the man know no shame? That's tantamount to declaring himself royalty!
You barbarian!
Your fool of a king is dead! Disillusioned by vain aristocrats and simpering clergy, he withered and died under his own weakness.
The audacity!
How can he say that?
This is madness! At the king's own funeral!
Lord Louis speaks true! The nobles are to blame!
Names are guilty!
But open your eyes, and you will see the crisis in our nation. I will show you truth! The truth of reality! You've all been sheltered, blinded by walls of stone. Behold a human corpse! They are no mere rumor. They lurk and nest across the very land you call home. A fortress at the border was raised by a human mere days ago. How long before we're overrun? You can only blame your king's weakness. And thus, who deserves his crown? A man of proven strength!
How dare you, scoundrel! Your words verge on treason!
Against what ruler, Blue Blood? The dead cannot be betrayed. Let your late king's soul bear witness. Let Louis Squeerburn be named the true and rightful ruler of Uchronia!
Hey, what do we... What's happening?
Such power. It can't be.
The palace! Could this be the king's own magic?
I am Hithlodius V.
His Majesty?
The people of my land desire a new king, and I shall provide.
Did he just say Hithlodius V? That face? It can't be. His Majesty? The king? How?
Is it him?
He was dead? Why?
Be silent! Let him say his piece.
Heed me, O kingless. Time is finite before my soul departs this benighted world. In 4 moons of life past death, there shall come a reckoning, a day of the hero. Upon that day, whosoever hath truly earned the greatest faith of the citizenry shall ascend to throne and crown by right of kings.
By right of kings? The faith of the citizenry? Truly?
From the lofty heavens shall my unfading soul look down upon thee, and from the whispered hopes of thine anxious hearts shall those to whom thine allegiances lie be laid bare.
What's happening?
I hear thy voices ring out in clarion truth. Here and now witness the faces of those most desired to become king.
It's Forden. Count Louise! Count Louise is there too! They're all candidates.
Ah! What glorious spectacle! The mantle of king is mine by right and providence.
You go too far, Louis. We gather to mourn his majesty, and you desecrate it. You would befoul the throne, blackguard.
So be it. Shall we test that? Good people, is Forden truly fit to be king? Or shall you cast off the shackles of blind faith? We need not be chained to birth or tribe. In my word, we are a people equal and united. I shall be your shield from the human menace. Together, peace is within our grasp.
When my village burned, the church did nothing.
There's no way we can fight those monsters alone.
And those of us in bonds? Will we too be protected?
Don't be fooled! He's not the man you think he is!
Hey, look! Come, Luis. He's catching up to Forden.
Can the giant thing really see what we're thinking?
Louis, you've led the people's hearts astray!
No future exists without the power to eliminate the human crisis. Those who stand at my side, who oppose the powers that be, my protection is yours. or refuse my hand and perish. I will lead us over your corpses.
You mean, just as you killed the king?
A country is heavier than a crown, and he could not bear it. Retribution past due.
You vile!
He cares nothing for the blood on his hands.
Damn you, Luis! You think you truly deserve the crown? You doom us all! I won't stand for it!
Hey, who are you?
Silence him! A Kingslayer deserves only death!
Yes, good!
You need to go too.
Where's Grius?
Alcest?
I shall not suffer the defiance of my people's will. In my name art thou punished.
Punished? Impressive. One of the royal family's dog. Rather poetic, I suppose. See how he has rewarded your loyalty.
No!
I warned you, this is the price of defiance. Though I hadn't expected the king's own magic on my side. So be it! Rally behind me! I will shield you from injustice. Rise above birth and circumstance, for they mean nothing!
Count Luis is our only hope!
What choice do we have? He'll kill any against him!
Not much of a choice. Upon the day of the hero, whosoever has most earned my people's faith shall ascend upon my throne to rule, according to my judgment. Be thou criminal, pauper, or noble, thy claim is decided not by stature or trial. I shall bear witness. From this heavenly seat I am nigh omnipotent. Look to the faces carved upon this rock, and see thou the faces of the chosen. I shall brook no sabotage or obstruction of this trial. Let all hear me and obey.
Damned!
Hey! Grius! Grius!
Damn it!
Luis!
Alcest.
The sun sets on old fossils. It is a new dawn, and its light shines upon Lord Luis as king.
Stand down!
Damned meddlers. So your wish is to die, is it? Your bones will be monuments to Lord Luis's glory!
No! He defiles the dead!
Ah, but Lord Luis has sent me here on an important errand.
What errand?
It seems I'll need considerable time to accumulate the Magla. Until it's done, however, I'm afraid I'll have to borrow the cathedral. The day the king's mourning ends will become the day of calamity. If you mean to interfere, then die.
Stand strong! The
The souls of the dead do not return. He manipulates them as puppets with foul magic.
Brace yourselves, everyone!
How could this day get any stranger? First, the king rises as a giant rock, talking about the next king, chaining Grius, leading to his death, and now the dead walk among us. This is a nightmare. Stroll is having a hard time adjusting to everything that's happened, but we have no choice to push on as we kill the undead horde. With their fool, the girl with red hair asks for the guards to take Grius to the mausoleum, calling him a dear friend, and wishing to see him get the burial he deserves. She then stands up, her face is familiar. I think she was the one on the ride with us, the one where we got jumped by the zealots. But she introduces herself as Hulkenberg, asking about the power we wield, adding, "We're no ordinary soldier." Stroll asks the question back, knowing she's more than just a guardsman. She responds that she's a knight under the crown, commanding the guard isn't her job, but alas, these are dire times. Talking about a person called Alsus, which confuses me, but she brushes that off, knowing that the necromancer is after the royal scepter. I'm not sure why they would want that, but we hear the cries for help as a noblewoman asks for our help, since she has family inside. This is where we find out there's innocents trapped in the cathedral, and with a mix of Stroll and Hulkenberg, we've got a duty to help them. And honestly, with Grius' death, it's now even more personal. They will pay. The attacks from Lewis's airship seems to have done its course as the building is breaking down around us, but we must push on. People are dying. We push through waves of the undead, saving a guard and an innocent lady. Pushing even further, we save the child who got stuck in the library, and eventually caught up with Hulkenberg. She asks why we were late, which is when Stroll says that we got stuck with helping people. She's happy to hear we're helping, but is saddened by the current state of the funeral, and it's all thanks to Luis, which is when Stroll asks about the royal scepter. She confirms, adding a pretty scary thought. If it's given to Luis, she fears the whole country will bend to his will, which is pretty bad, and something we must stop now, as we push forward while also pretending the climb isn't going to take forever. We got to the entrance, as the others comment on the state of the grounds. It starts to shake, as the entrance is blocked for us, thankfully. Hulkenberg seems to know another way, but not before she demands answers for Grius, but she knew him as Alsus. He taught the prince's swordmanship, and at the time she was serving as one of the Highness's personal guards. With that being told to us, we're now asked the question of why are we trying to kill Luis? And Stroll answers as revenge for the king to avenge his death. But Hulkenberg knew him and is unsure that revenge is the real answer. She's not fully convinced, but asks for our help regardless. Stroll asks why not the guard, but she simply responds that a legion may be easily divided, but an elite few will move as one. With that explanation good enough for me and Stroll, we agree and get going. We arrive to the devastation. The attack caused people fleeing and Maria was caught in the crossfire. Thankfully, she'll be fine, but Fabian asked about Grius, which I have no answer for, as Stroll breaks the news. Which she doesn't take too well, but alas, we must push on to kill the man who caused all of this. We head to the spot Hulkenberg was talking about. It's the mausoleum. I wish not to see Grius' body. The wound is too fresh, but we kept pushing to a door with a black fog rolling under. I know where this is going. That necromancer. I open the door.
What's going on? We can't get through the door.
Strange as he is, that pale fellow's magic works. Good for rooting out the rats.
That blasted mage set a trap. Not surprising. We knew he was expecting us.
And you still fell for it? At least you'll be in good company.
What? It can't be.
No way.
Alsus.
Alsus, stop it! Don't! Why would you die for revenge of all things? The man I fought beside was not so ruled by anger and malice! Alcest, tell me, please! Is this the price of my failure, then? The prince, for having lost him, you too would abandon me. Why did you leave me alone in the dark when you escaped with his highness? I have sought him for so many years to no avail, and now I... Of course. 'Tis only just that you be the one to send me to him now.
Get up! Fight!
I'm sorry. Please forgive me.
No! You have it wrong!
The prince is alive!
Hey!
He's right. We do hunt Luis, but not for revenge. We mean to lift the prince's curse.
Is that true? His highness is still...
Yes, he lives. So you have to keep fighting!
You mean, if that's true, then I... O lodestar who wanders in solemn duty, O thou anguished traveler. Thy long stagnant stance hath finally been broken. Now choose thy path. You help a new calling, transcending all oaths. I choose life of my own will! Thank you. Thou hast chosen a noble parting. Henceforth, thy fears and insecurities become thy light. Thou art the brilliant star that shall illuminate the King's Road. Now, awaken. My name is Iselin Pacelli Machal Hulkenberg. I am knight, I am commander, and last of the Honor Guard! Once more, I take up arms in my liege's name! Alcest, I will see you freed. For the liege I am sworn to, in his royal name, with this Alcest, 'tis almost finished.
I'm sensing a huge surge of power. Hang on. It almost seems like the two archetypes are resonating with each other.
We're back-to-back cutscenes, and honestly, it's really dirty the game made Undead Grius a mini tutorial, but they had to show off the team-up mechanic. Still, the battle is somewhat tough, but thankfully I have healing and team to keep up with Grius' assault. He did take down Hulkenberg once though, which took my last revive, but with a hard-fought battle, we give him a warrior's death that he deserves.
Alcest!
His Highness and Maria's home. I leave them in your hands.
We'll do as you ask, friend. I swear it.
It may have been too soon, but just like Hulkenberg said, rest now, Grius. We'll take care of the rest. With the heavy stuff done, we destroy another Magla crystal. Hulkenberg says the necromancer is dangerous and must be stopped. Charles asks her about the night the prince was attacked and if she was there. She confirms she was, and she saw the Highness afflicted with a horrible curse, and then suddenly vanished, including Alcest. She wondered if they were both gone. Suddenly, the wounds Hulkenberg has endured surface. Wishing to continue, she tries to play strong, but I know what will happen if we don't go at our best, especially when you're taking down a necromancer, so best us up for now. She decides to trust my judgment as we head home to the Honeybee Inn. We meet Fabienne at the door. She tells us that she told Maria about her father and she's in her room, adding that Grius left a note saying we can have any of his belongings if it'll help us with that message relayed. She leaves a check on Maria. Seeing Maria being affected firsthand just enrages me and makes me ever more to rip Lewis's head from his shoulders myself. Hulkenberg wishes to join us on this quest as well, adding until the day the prince's life is saved, she will fight through all obstacles. I can't say no to a personal knight of the prince, so I agree to her help, and with a shake to confirm a bond forms between us. With that bond formed, we show her the current state of the prince. The thorns look worse and worse by the day. Even seeing it again puts a pit in my heart, but he's a strong fighter. Back to it, Hulkenberg is sure the necromancer wants the scepter, and Gallica believes that we'll have until the mourning period is over, giving us some time to spare. Gallica does wonder what the day of the calamity was, but I needn't care. Just like Schroll, we can ask her the cold steel pressed against him. And with that, we went back to our room. Gallica asked me if I feel responsible for today's events. I don't, but it just sucks. Gallica is unsure of her role as a guide, but I reassure her that she's doing the best that she can, which cheers her up somewhat. And with that, our bond is closer, leading for a good night's rest.
Really? What exactly do you have against sleep?
Moore gets to the point, sad for us about Grius' death, but also happy for Hulkenberg's awakening. He goes into his cryptic talks, and we give him back the mag we've put into Grius, adding one more thing, that we can visit him whenever we like, but it's quite hard to do that in the heat of battle, so we can call upon the help of his cat. We should give him a pet when we see them on the fields, and I like to pet cats, so I can't say no to that. But with all that said and done, he wishes us well, as we're finally allowed to rest.
Time marches on, and the age of a new king draws nearer.
The morning starts with Hulkenberg apologizing for us commandeering Fabienne's tavern. She's fine, asking if we're going for that necromancer. Schroll confirms for us, I mean, just like he said, something called Day of Calamity can't be good. That's when Hulkenberg decides, as she's yet to understand her new power, they'll have me as leader. A little shocking, me leading a knight and a prince, but I'll do my best. And after a light little banter, we're left to our own devices. I can go face that necromancer now, but I think I'll explore the city a little before. The first thing I did was started helping out the people. One guy had a daughter who was dying but needed to be cured, but due to racial differences, the price is far too high. Then he can afford, so I decide that I'll help him no matter the cost. But I'm on a timer, so I've got to do this quick. Another person, a Nadia man, wanted me to check out the Honeybee Inn's cooking. He'd like to learn about the ingredients, what the kitchen is like, and also the food. This would mean I'll have to help Fabienne cooking, and honestly, she deserves all the help that she can get, honestly, so I agree. The woman at the Gneiss shot also had a quest, however, she won't give it to me as she deems me only as a child currently, so I'll have to prove my heroic virtues to be able to do that. Anyways, I made it to the church, and he was as lovely as you can think, doing me a favor, and he shouldn't even sell it to me, and gave me a big old price bump because I'm an elder. What a nice guy, hiking up the price of a child's life. But I paid for it regardless, and although I can get my things purified for if my virtue was higher, I don't think I want to do business with a tosser like that. And with that, I completed the quest, and got some nice boosts to my virtues, and decided to take a breather at the bench. The virtual boost will let me help the Igniter merchant, so best to do it now. During the night, we asked Fabienne to teach us how to make the signature dish, but she can't do that unless we bring our own ingredients, giving us a shopping list. But the herb is, alas, not going to be easy to get, as we're not a regular. It's a shame, but that's life. However, roaming the streets at night, I saw an information broker. I talked to him, buying information. He tells me about a situation at the cathedral, and also what the skeletons are weak to, but that's it for now, seeming to want me to be a regular, which depending on the information he has, might become true. But to end off the night, I decided to sit at the bench again, wanting to be wise.
Time marches on, and the age of a new king draws nearer.
The information broker has made home inside the honeybee inn, it seems. As I talk to him and get all sorts of info, I need mainly the one where I can get those herbs. Apparently they were friends with Grius, so I uttered his name and sure enough, mill was enough as we are able to acquire the herb. Good job, me, I think to myself as I sit down on the bench once more, and with that, I am now informed. Which should be enough for the shop owner to take me seriously. And she does not before interrogating me, of course. And now she's willing to give me the quest. It's an extermination request, with no time limit thankfully, so I agree to it. We get given the location of where the beast is, and we can borrow her carriage to get there. With that plan set for the future, I went back to the inn, and since I have the ingredients, I can make red grass roasted biddo. Although Gallica wanted me to change the recipe a little, I shouldn't listen to her. I doubt she can cook anyways. But it turned out really well. Now we have it, we can hand it to that guy tomorrow, as I went to bed.
Time marches on, and the age of a new king draws nearer.
Today's the day we'll finally take that necromancer down, but first we complete the quest that we had with helping the chef. Who would have known that even cooking is also stained deep in race wars? But that is the way this country runs. For now, it's best not to think about that and head to the cathedral. Before that, I did want to say I gave Stroll the mage archetype. The broker did say they're immune to slash attacks, and is also weak to fire, so the mage should be able to counteract that as we push onwards. Where we fought Grius a few days ago stood a Parapus. I've seen her before, but she looked bruised like she's been to war. We check on her, she tells us about the dead and is ready to go onwards, but we can see the wear and tear on her, asking her to treat her wounds first. But she can't, her friend is still stuck in there, and the soldier who went to save her isn't back either. It's better, less blood is shed this day, so I decide I'll go in and help save her friend. But she's not trusting since there must be more to wanting to help a Parapus, which is a sad thought process. But with the way they're treated, I'm not shocked. Alas, she relents, telling us that her friend is a Parapus girl around her age with a yellow flower pin and black hair, adding that she'll repay us for this. I don't need payment, but I won't say no to that either, as we take the back entrance to the cathedral. There is so much death and corpses that are lifeless but not resurrected. The death toll is sickening. What a waste of life. We enter the main hall and overhear two guards basically saying things out loud. By the sounds of it, the key isn't well secured, and more importantly, we'll have to use the stairs rather than the magical lift. Yay, I love stairs. But we did find a door with civilians locked inside, so we have our goal to get those keys, which was found easily, just sitting there. What a sorry excuse for a guard. But I don't think he'll be alive by the end of these days' events. If not by the undead, but likely by Luis himself. We made it back though and opened the door. We weren't able to save some, but others did survive. There's a silver lining. Sadly, that silver lining didn't include the Parapus with black hair, as she's dead. It's truly a shame. As Stroll and Hulkenberg help the others evacuate, the Parapus with pink hair comes cradling her friend, apologizing for being late. She then apologizes to me, saying she knew she was gonna stay back, but we made a line for her and then paying me a meaty chunk of gold, adding that she'll give me more when she's paid big next time. But I reassure her, I need no more money. In a way, we failed our mission, so I shouldn't be paid at all. She thinks I only helped her because of her status, but I'll admit, I don't know who she is. Was shocked her, saying that I just helped a Parapus without expecting anything in return. Doesn't that just take the cake? I mean, I can understand where she's coming from, but we're both oppressed races. However, she just calls me weird and talks about her friend. She worked with a rich baron, but when she died, he just laughed and said, "Even a Parapus could be useful once in a while," which is so disgusting to hear. Which she agrees, wishing to see this world torn down. Something I can agree with, and she knows that she can see it in my eyes, adding that if we ever cross paths again, she will help me, saying it's a promise. And with that shake, I've awoken the brawler in my heart. With that, she left with her friend, and now we can move on. But would you look at that? The cat is just there, like Moore said. So I decided to use it and then awaken the brawler in Hulkenberg's heart. And with that, we keep pushing forwards and reach the stairs. I knew this was coming, but I wasn't wishing it would be this soon. But we gotta keep going. Stroller's already complaining, it's only been a few stairs, man. But for some reason, Gallico was complaining, but you can fly, so I don't want to hear it, girl. As we talk a little more about the situation with the army, Luis, and the necromancer, we keep climbing up. When we got to the top, we heard voices. They were ones of fear. As we checked, the guards are running away from the undead, locking the door behind them. What cowards. We enter the room and see them. It's like what possessed Grius was, but they're mindless and ravenous in comparison. We'll have to kill them nonetheless. But can you kill something that's already dead? I don't want to think too hard, as we push on. On our journey, we saw a crystal. Its properties let it summon endless creatures. A vile thing, that is, but the monsters they summoned were completely trivial to face, so it went down thanks to having no backup so much for summoning waves. With that door from before opened, I fall back to open a door with black fog rolling under. At this point, I see that I know I'm in for a fight. Sadly, there was no survivors in there, only the dead as we wiped them out with ease. However, we were wrong. There was actually a single survivor, and he told us about the treasure chest. Is the treasure of the sanctum, wishing for it not to fall in Luis's hands, as he draws his final breath, clutching the key in his hands. I oblige his final request, taking the key and the treasure inside. I wonder if it'll have any use though. The others seem to think of its value. We'll have to see soon enough. But entering a room, a guard was there and he'd given up on pretty much everything, seeing no point to even catch intruders, which means we're safe, as after asking him, he tells us how to get up and even hands us a key. Even if he's a part of the opposite team, at least he knows to just give it and instead of dying pointlessly, as we open the door and keep going. On our journey going higher and higher in the cathedral, we hear a voice taunting us, saying we're quite skilled, but also comparing us to rats. Gallica and Hulkenberg think they're most likely the Whiteclads, Luis's elite guard, but we'll have to see as we make it to the top. But first, I reached rank 10 with Healer, which means I can complete the quest for more, which he's happy to hear, and increasing our bond. But now he has another quest. This time, he wants to see the Gunner archetype, and I should find someone who is mechanically minded. And with that, I leave Academia and face the black fold rolling under the door. And there was the Whiteclads. But alas, I was not ready for this fight as I got mowed down quite quickly. I had to change my strategy, and doing some small archetype adjustments, the fight went way more favorably, ending with a synchronized attack.
Let's set it up!
Line up, Hulkenberg!
I'm counting on you!
No holding back!
With their death, we kept going. We met a wall made of magla. It was blocking the lift, which means we have no way to go higher as of now, but with a little looking, we found a crystal of pure magla. That might be the cause of the wall, which the others agree on, so it's wall smashing time. But first, we made it to the hall where the crystal is, and there was a statue which reacted to the amulet, lowering it, but I'll admit, I forgot to actually grab the treasure past here. Silly me. Instead, I was busy fighting the protectors of the Magla Crystal. I wish I could say it was easy fight, but I'm running out of MP, and they're immune to Hulkenberg and Stroll's regular attacks. So I spent a good while trying all sorts of strategies and resting, but it eventually worked out with a lot of trial and error, and they fell to a synchronized attack.
It's not over yet!
After me!
You can do this!
Let's do this!
With their defeat, the destruction of the crystal, which hopefully gives us the ability to access the lift. And we were right, though that means that people can come down that lift. As we fight more Whiteclads, and I got wiped out pretty fast. With the lack of MP and poor planning, I only have one revive. And hope so, with a lot of resets coming, trying to get crits and with synchronized attacks, I finally got a good run after 7 or so minutes, which was happy to see as finally I can move onwards. But first, I decided to use the Mage's ability to passively gain MP from enemies to my advantage, grinding in the lower areas until I had what I needed and went upstairs, entering a massive room, likely where debates happened. The portraits of kings lay on the ground riddled with holes as Luis's portrait sits there for all to see. What ego. But Hulkenberg seems to be somewhat knowing of the necromancer, calling him Zorba. She starts telling us about him. He had a true skill with magic that could animate the inanimate, but lacked an offensive magic. But Luis saw his potential, and now he's devoted to his god, Luis. As we look back to the portrait, I agree, utter devotion for someone to the point of wanting to do a Day of Calamity is dangerous. As we keep going, and with fate, or if he heard us, we open a door, and we met with Zorba in the flesh. He applauds us for making it this far. Hulkenberg asks if the Magler is his doing. He seems to dodge the question, more surprised we knew of him, but after another push, he responds asking if we're talking about the Melancholia crystals. Magna crystal is so much better, go back to saying that, man. But he calls it a little more of a parlor trick to block our path. All magic is derived from motes of Magla, and that's just one possible version of it, the type that drives mortals to madness. Hulkenberg asks for Zorba to make sense, and he continues saying it's the result of Magla and its most dense. Man or beast, any wretch who feels it will go berserk. They'll see anyone as a threat, adding some really gruesome things that happen thanks to it, but Stroll pushes his luck.
Hey! I'm not done talking to you.
You've done nothing but talk. Perhaps you should have listened instead.
Is this a piece of bone?
I had to find some use for the scattered pieces I couldn't animate into soldiers. And now I have 3 more fools.
Look out! Take...
With the negotiations following through, Stroll asks for ideas, and I say let's just luck it. I mean, if we have an archetype that negates Pierce, we should be fine. But he just calls me mad. I can't think of anything we could possibly do to push forward, but then I thought about it, maybe some form of shield to protect us could work. We're lacking with ideas, but I thought about it. If he treats Luis like a god, that means he wouldn't attack him, so we could use the portrait of him as a shield. Hulkenberg seems to be on the same page, and we decide with the Luis Gambit.
What? You degenerates! That's...
Don't mind us. We've rubbish to dispose of.
Rubbish! You heathens! I'll pulverize you!
Try if you like. Be ashamed to destroy your Lord Luis's pretty face, though.
Ah! Underhanded, treacherous little...
That's rich coming from you!
Silence! You witless incompetents! I can't tarry here any longer. I've You defile Lord Luis with this blasphemy! You'll pay! I swear! I'll make you regret this!
That was a funny interaction, but it worked in our favor. Regardless of Zorba's hypocrisy, we must move onwards, reaching the capital chambers where the scepter stands. Well stood. It's been taken. That blasted necromancer. But there's no ways out from this direction. We went, so that means he's on the roof, and we'll face him. Not before a quick refill of our MP, of course. I'm going to be playing magic and healing support, so I'm gonna need it. As we open the door, with a black fog rolling in. We face him, asking where the scepter is, and he responds that the fallen king has the scepter. It must be protecting it for the future king, as Zorba is nice and will let us go, since he has sympathy for fools. But the only way we're leaving is either with his head, or with Luis's location, which Zorba thinks is really funny.
I see now! No wonder I couldn't understand your actions. They're baseless, utterly unfounded.
Madness ill becomes you, Zorba.
You again. What would you know of it? I know no lady knights. Wait! A knight with blood-red tresses. Don't tell me you're the buffoon who failed to protect the prince.
Judgments mean nothing from a man who sullies the dead. You've fallen far yourself.
Perhaps I am unworthy of the royal scepter, but I can still bring change to this world. I can still teach them true fear.
You'll find that hard to do from a dungeon, blackguard.
You, knight, have no idea what real justice is, and that mistake will cost you your life. Rejoice, rats! That witless assassin is dead, but I shall gladly send you to join him! Now die! Lord Luis's destined kingdom will be built atop your bones!
What destined kingdom? Tell us where Luis has gone, or we'll tear the words from you!
For all the innocent lives you played for pawns, I shall make you pay!
The boss fight is a war of attrition. He takes good damage from magic and strength we wield, but also has bodies at his disposal, summoning never-ending tides of the undead and then buffing them to hold us back. And it almost worked. I got a little cocky and got myself knocked out, but I was told after they fought a long, hard battle and eventually were able to take him down with a synchronized attack.
Not the last fight as one!
I'm counting on you!
Impossible! This can't be happening! Lord Luis!
With Zorba's defeat, Hulkenberg is ready to smite him down, but Gallica tells her not to kill him yet, as we need to know of Luis's location. But Zorba refuses, asking for death. Stroll tries to tell him that Luis will toss him away, but Zorba responds that a damn Clamar wouldn't understand. But surely me, an elder, would know what it's like to be an outcast, to be everyone's scapegoat. We're called lesser tribes. They loathe us. Adding, he believed once, but then he heard exactly what they thought of us. The lesser are expendable. Send them to the front, and they will act as our living shields. It pains me, but I know he is correct, as Zorba stands, saying he has a plan, calling magic a dangerous art, as he lets out raw Magla and then cries out for the glorious day of calamity falling into the foggy abyss to his death. With his death, he awoken something. We hear cries from the ground. The magic, this day of calamity, it was that human. It's now alive again. Regardless of everything, even if this day of calamity, it's early, we have a chance. It might still be weak. We have to stop it.
How can this be? Was this creature's rebirth Zorba's plan all along?
If it escapes, if it makes it to the city,
It spotted us!
His Highness's home must still stand when he returns. I will end this here!
Another city in ruins. Never again. It dies or I do.
It's coming!
Look at the size of that thing.
It would be catastrophic if it breached the city. We must stop it!
But how are we supposed to kill something this huge?
Look there! That can be little else but the heart. Surely to strike there would give it pause.
But it's too high up for our weapons to reach. Do we use magic?
A viable plan. Yet surely if we can knock the creature down first, its heart will be close enough to strike with steel.
Then we bludgeon the torso, knock the wind out of it. Hard to miss a target that size.
Without the ability to revive, I had to be extra careful. I did a good amount of resets coming to get the perfect run. I understood what all of its weaknesses are. I know the heart is resistant to all forms of magic by the looks of it, so the egg is where I have to hit. We crack it, leave the heart exposed, we deal good damage, but then it gets up and attacks us with its little soldiers, but then the hands help the egg regrow, so we also need to target them. So it's a long, hard-fought battle. First the hands, making his damage way lower, then Gallica helps with the soldiers, and after a few close calls and resets, we finish its heart off.
No holding back!
With the humans' defeat, we can finally relax. Somewhat. Hulkenberg thanks us for risking our lives to protect the capital, but Stroll doesn't see the upside since everything's in ruins and Grius is gone, adding that on that day he promised Maria they'd split bread together, but that isn't what happened. I try to comfort Stroll, but he just hates how powerless he is in the grand scheme. But Hulkenberg tells him that it's not his fault. If it wasn't for Alsus, the prince wouldn't be alive now, nor would she have known the truth of the prince herself. Everyone who has fallen here did not die in vain. He's not convinced, but a person of the church appeared, thanking us for all of our hard work. Seeing the people who saw our heroic work made him see a bigger picture, and he was able to smile again. And with that, our mission is finally complete. But now we're stuck at square one with Luis, but Hulkenberg asks us if we remember that Luis was shielded by magic. Oh yeah, that's right. I do wonder if since he's the next possible king, he's impervious to damage. That'd be insane, but Hulkenberg says she's going to be asking around her contacts for possible leads. So that means we'll just have to wait for someone to do the next move, which works for me because I'm tired, as we head back to the Honeybee Inn. It seems news goes around fast as Fabian heard about our exploits. She confirms since it's the inn's lifeblood, but now she wishes Grius will rest peacefully. With this, we ask her about Maria, and she's not holding up well. Gallica comments on the city in a stir, which makes sense. Like Hulkenberg said, there's a new king candidates are coming out like flying monkeys, which is when Fabian tells us that she heard that the Sanifex Fordens planning some grand announcement, thinking it might bring Luis out of hiding, saying it's on the 22nd. If it's from an official, there's a good chance it's gonna happen. So I have to look forward to that as the night draws to an end.
Time marches on, and the age of a new king draws nearer.
With Zorba defeated, it's time to wait for the announcement on the 22nd, so I decided to spend the time with Stroll. We were talking until suddenly Stroll heard a familiar voice, and he's happy to see him. As I ask if he's a friend, Stroll tells me that he served House Halia when their home still stood, introducing me to him, and asking how he's been, and Rangif is honest about the current state of things with the people, as Stroll tells Rangif that he'll help him find housing, but realizes he's in no place to do that, apologizing. But his old friend reassures him that it's fine, but Stroll is still wanting to help. Well, that's Stroll's nature, so I decide that I'll help in any way I can. Stroll asks for who holds authority on where they stay. The person is named Lord Hydron, and he'll see what we can do, though he doubts that his status will be worth much. Ragnif doesn't wish for Stroll to bear their burden, but he's honest, saying that if it wasn't for everyone 7 years ago, he wouldn't be alive. So he wants to do this one thing in return. Ragnif is unsure it'll help since he's brushed off their pleads already, but Stroll is even more invigorated to help, hearing that, and I want to join him on his crusade. But he doesn't want to worry me too much with his personal troubles, but I shut him down, saying that it's what friends do, and with that reassurance, our bond deepens. But now we have plans to help what's left of Harley's people, and then the night came. During the night, most places were having a sale, so I decided to buy as much as I could, and then helped have Fabian at the inn. It's the only way I can think of saying thank you for all she's done for us. And with a boost in my social stats, I call it a night.
Time marches on, and the age of a new king draws nearer.
I heard around town that the Royal Army Recruitment Center gives out bounties for monsters that are causing trouble, so I decided to have a look and saw for a man-eating Mandura. Sounds like it'll be doable, but before I do that, I did promise Brigitte that I would help her with her own monster slaying quest. So I talked to her and we get going.
The party at last found themselves at Belega Corridor, once a palace of a small, bygone country, destroyed and worn away by sand and rock. The land is a shadow of its former glory. Now it is home to monsters attracted by its stagnant magma. The party steps into the corridor, as if called there by the lingering resentment of a country that could not stand the test of time.
We arrived to that corridor, and a bunch of disgusting green creatures had made it their home. They're just in our way, though, so we mow them down without any mercy. for getting in our way. And finally, we made it to a very suspicious looking door. Knowing that Moore's cat's there, it must be where the boss room is, as I steal my resolve and head on in. I was almost 5 levels below the monster, so that's a good start. I spent a good 40 minutes finding him, basically banging my head against a wall. I'd either get unlucky with no crits on my hits, or worse, the Gubitoros would get fucking good rolls in his rampage attacks. So I was getting nothing done, until I did a genius strategy of just having Stroll and Hulkenberg both brawlers, as they have Evade Strike, which made him lose turns. He still hit like a truck and would two-shot my entire party if I got unlucky. But with just a little push, we finally took the bastard down. And with their defeat and the trophy to show Brigida later, we head back to the capital and have a grand feast.
Time marches on, and the age of a new king draws nearer.
A new day, and we started off by giving Brigida the Brute's Horn, proof that we took the bugger down. As she takes me into her office and gives me my reward, she's happy with my results, adding that she knew I was the right man for the job, and should keep their supply lines flowing smoothly. Brigida asked me if I want more work from her, since she can't imagine an elder could find an honest job in the city. She doesn't care for my tribe. She always pays properly for the work. I do. A good point, and I decide to help her. She's happy to hear, calling me determined.
You heard nothing just now, right?
Right. I didn't hear it.
That's for the best. It was just the wind.
I don't know what that sound was, and by the way she's talking about it, I may not want to know what it was. Especially by her wording. And with that, we foster a bond, being the heroic archetype of the merchant. Not sure how a merchant is a heroic archetype, but meh. With that deal settled, I went back to the inn. And during the night, I decided to listen to the history and the culture of the Mustari tribe.
Time marches on, and the age of a new king draws nearer.
4 more days until Fortin's big announcement, so I decided to spend the day with Hulkenberg. We did some sword training as Hulkenberg felt a little nostalgic, talking about a person who she would train with back when she was around my age, younger even. Sounds like a worthy opponent to be equals with Hulkenberg. Almost like he heard us, he appeared before us, Hulkenberg calling it a coincidence, but I think it's just fate. He asked who I was. I said I was a friend. Sadly, he doesn't seem to think highly of elders, calling association with me disgraceful, and starts to badmouth her for associating with me and informs her of him being the commander of the Royal Knights, asking what has occupied her from pulling herself any higher. She tells him she pursues a mission, one that far outweighs any glory found in the Order, as he retorts about her unable to save the prince, and he supposes she had little choice but to chase his shadow. Hulkenberg tells him to choose his next words wisely, but he just leaves, not before saying he's disappointed in her. With that, I ask if she's alright, and she responds it's kind to ask. She understands his anger for their paths changing, but we cannot afford to lose sight of our current priorities, telling me we should push forward in the name of the prince. I can agree with that, as our bond has grown stronger. Suddenly, a Parapus man appears, asking if we know that knight. Hulkenberg responds that he was an old friend. With that, the Parapus man leaves, and the future planned out, we head back to the inn. And during the night, I listened to an old man talk about old stories. He felt compelled to do it when he laid eyes on Gallica. This was the first time he saw a fairy in a long time, and he felt nostalgic, so I hear him out, and the night soon comes to an end.
Time marches on, and the age of a new king draws nearer.
The day started, and I remembered I promised Stroll I'd help him with the job of talking to that Sanctus that could possibly help his people, so we get going to find him. It seems Stroll did his homework, as we found him fast. He seems to know him, which surprised Stroll, asking how he does, which he replies that nary a soul in the kingdom hasn't heard of the great tragedy that happened to Halia, asking if he's come to reflect and pray. But Stroll responds what he's actually here for, asking if the people of Halia may use the vacant homes to stay, telling the saint about their current living conditions. Bahydron responds, getting to the point, asking why he would petition on their behalf, seeing it as no longer his duty to take care of them, adding that one's poverty is theirs to bear alone. Stroll's pleads fall on deaf ears, as he has no obligation to help, as he asks Stroll about his own circumstances, saying with Halia gone, he has little else to anchor him, asking him to consider restoring his house's glory before worrying about the rabble. With those words, Stroll sees the futility in asking the Saint for help, but he still is far from done. Suddenly, Hydron seems to recognize me, but Stroll tells him to heed no mind to me, apologizing for taking up the Saint's time, saying with his back turned that the refugees are his people, and he will do everything in his power to save them. But then Hydron starts to stoke the flames, using some interesting wording, seems to have pity for Stroll, but he leaves before he could be antagonized. Back to square one, Stroll apologizes to Ragnif about Hydron's refusal to help, but Ragnif is fine with it, telling Stroll he needs to focus on rebuilding his great house, adding that he heard Stroll's been living off the generosity of the noble families who respected his parents, but he brings up inheritance. That word surprises Stroll, not knowing of it. Ragnif seems to suspect that from how Stroll was talking, saying that his father kept it separate from the estate. With those words, we have an investigation on our hands. Stroll seems to be interested though, unsure if it would still be there, seeming to want to go alone, but I won't let him do that. He thanks me and he seems he will face the ruins of Halia head on for this possible inheritance, as our bond grows stronger. Ragnif hopes that we find what Stroll's parents left, adding that his parents will be proud of him, but Stroll doesn't see that yet, as we head back to the inn. And during the night, I head to Brigida's office to discuss an assignment. Must be important, though apparently the assignment was taking care of a pet for while she's gone. Interesting. The only rule she has is no one is to know it exists. I ask if it's a vicious beast. She confirms it's not, asking if I know about the anti-Igniter crowd, adding that beyond them there are people who would jump at the chance to do an act crueler than killing her. The pup is a weakness waiting to be exploited, so she's entrusting me with it. I ask her why she keeps it hidden, which she admits that she likes pets, though it's my choice to believe that or not. She gives me a side threat and a warning, and decides to not tell me its name, so I'm gonna call it Mr. Dog. I'm bad with names. Anyways, we're playing and she notices that Mr. Dog is attached to me already, saying that I have some surprising skills, just like using magic without igniters. I ask how she knows, but she responds that she has to, as it could affect her business, adding about the archetypes we turn into during fights. Thinking about it, saying that it reminds her there once existed the ultimate magic, adding that the Hero King of Legend wielded that power much like it, but she doubts that I'll follow in their footsteps, being frank admitting that I'm bad for business, but that is why she wants to lend her powers. She sells igniters due to profit, but she hates them deep down. Alas, it's a world dominated by them. As long as you've got the coin, you have all the power you need. Wishing to help me break this wretched wheel, or if nothing else, it'll be amusing at least. She is very confusing, but regardless, our bond has grown stronger. With that, she wishes to pay me for my time. I don't think I deserve it personally, but she still wants to pay me regardless. And with that, I went back to the inn.
Time marches on, and the age of a new king draws nearer.
I won't lie, I wanted to get that bounty done today, but I got lost in the city. Like, it's so massive, and I'm just a poor little elder, but eventually I found my way to the desert. We see in the distance our bounty, which means we need to draw its attention, so I head around killing fodder units until it was angered, appearing as it seemed to have taken an alpha roll. The fight wasn't all that hard. I got the info on its weaknesses and was prepared. The only thing I wasn't prepared for was Mage being weak to its signature attack, which caused a few resets, but with enough luck of not being hit, we take it down.
I crush you!
And after looting the desert, we head back to celebrate the night away.
Time marches on, and the age of a new king draws nearer.
Yesterday, we completed the bounty, and I claimed my prize heading to the recruitment center, and he's shocked since the army was having trouble with it, giving me my hard-earned money, and some other bonuses, but now we have no more bounties to do, so I decided to wander around the city until I found a lady. I gave her some money, and it turns out they're an activist, so I decided to spend the day listening to her talk about the people who are treated unjustly in this town. Things that I can relate with as an elder. And then night came, and I returned to the inn. During the night, I helped Brigida with Mr. Dog. I took him out for a nice walk, and she came in after that, seeing that it's taken a liking to me, adding that she can hear it from downstairs. I defend the dog, calling it smart, but she's unconvinced. She admits that she never liked it even when she first laid eyes on it. It was on the side of the road, bleeding, likely hit by rocks. It could have given up and died, but it looked into her eyes and whimpered. She hated it. I feel bad for Mr. Dog, and I tell her so, as she walks past saying that she was once a stray. Her earliest memories are fighting dogs for a scrap of meat. Wherever she went, she found only hunger and violence. So she robbed and stole. She fought and survived. It was hell. That must have been an awful upbringing. I say that, and she realized that she let her guard down, telling me to forget what she said, and I agree. With that, she gives me some words of advice, and our bond has grown stronger. With some of her secrets laid bare to see, she asked for me to be honest too, asking for my true motives for everything. And I'm honest, saying I want to improve this country. She's somewhat unconvinced, and says that she'll find my true motives one day, as I get paid for my work and I head back to the inn.
It would seem that disaster was averted.
Today is the day of the big announcement as me and Stroll are inside the inn, talking mainly on how big this is going to be, which we'll just have to wait and see as some time passed and Hulkenberg entered our room. She tells us the church has chosen to recognize the face's words as crown sent and will abide by them. Stroll is surprised they conceded it so quickly. Hulkenberg sees it as a small comfort, but Gallica can sense there's bad news, which she tells us that any candidate of sufficient favor cannot be deposed by force, which is bad, which means that the obvious, Luis cannot be killed, which means the prince's curse can't be stopped, which leads us to the sad fact that we're in an impasse. But that can wait as Fabian enters our room in a rush, asking if we've seen Maria. She's missing, and she wouldn't do that without telling anyone. That had us worried, Yellow and Fabian, so I agreed to look for her, which she's thankful for. Hopefully that puts her at ease as we start to go look for her. We ask around, they slowly gave us some possible hints, which led us to the stones where the candidates are shown, and the guard tells us that they're in the cathedral, and he let them in since she would find another way. So we decided to go inside the cathedral to see how she's holding up.
Huh? Why?
Everyone was worried about you.
Sorry. Papa hasn't come home. And I always come here whenever I'm feeling lonely. One time he came here to get me. I remember because he called my name. But I pray. And he still doesn't come back. Maybe because the cathedral is broken?
Maria.
Miss Fabienne says Papa can't come home anymore. But I know Papa's gone away. He's gone somewhere I'll never see him again. Hasn't he? It's going to be so lonely. The loneliest it's ever been. But I have to be strong, don't I? But if it gets any lonelier, I don't know if I can do it.
I'm sorry. I promised we'd all come back together.
Why does everyone always leave? Mum was sick. The king and prince are gone. And now Papa? Why does everyone always leave? Is it my fault? I really did my best to be a good girl, but...
It's our fault.
What? How?
You?
Listen to me, all right? Your father, we were with him, but...
I remember Papa saying something like that. He said, a really bad man might be our king. Is that part of it?
It'll work out somehow.
I hope the next king is as nice as you. Then maybe things won't always be so sad.
I think I understand the king's intentions now. Maybe this is the sort of tragedy he was trying to end. Maybe he wanted a world where the crown goes to one who acts like a king ought to. Not whoever's willing to spill the most blood.
You may be right, but much as we wish it, this is not a fight that might be ended through words alone.
Even so, we have to try.
After that hard conversation with Maria, we brought her back to the inn. Fabienne immediately comforts Maria, just glad that she's safe. Maria apologizes and then says she's hungry. She's happy, she's fine, and we'll make her some food, thanking us for finding her. With that, we're left to comment on how strong she truly is. Sadly now, we're left on how to deal with Luis. Gallica wishes she could report back, but the prince is still asleep and we're running out of time. We are left with little options on top of all the new candidates flooding in and the likelihood of the church rigging it in their favor. But Hulkenberg thinks we should just content ourselves with rest and recovery, which I can agree with for the time being. It's late at night and Stroll is unable to sleep, thinking about things, thinking he's just running in circles again with his thoughts. So I think I'll hear him out. He thanks me, calling me his type of strange, and brings up the book I have on me at all times. I ask if he would like to read it, and he agrees since we finally have some room to breathe.
Oh, interesting. It's written through the lens of a fictional land. This bit's about the Utopia's security. In this world, there is no blood-stained contest for sovereignty. The people choose their sovereign from among themselves. One cannot put a sovereign to the sword to seize power. Such an act would be met with scorn and judged as murder. Taking power or wealth by force is seen as the most shameful of transgressions. Couldn't be further from reality, could it? We have a Kingslayer on the brink of seizing the throne right now, and this idea of competing for public support. Here it sounds so commonplace, but the idea's thrown us all into chaos. Interesting. Perhaps I'm overthinking, but it sounds almost like the aim of the king's magic. You suppose there's some common inspiration? Still, I don't imagine this would turn out well in the real world. In public opinion, tribal perspective always divides us. Besides, does a decision made by the people guarantee it's right? Tribal squabbles aren't always political. Take us Clamars, for example. It can be hard for us to see outside the bubble of our own worldview. We're the majority, and the tribe of the royal bloodline besides. That privilege can make us insensitive. A problem with no easy solution, I fear. Lofty words. I can hardly come to terms with my own ideals. Still, the discussions helped clear my head a little. Thank you. I've been so fixated on killing Luis, but maybe we could look into whether that's really the only way to lift the curse. Sleep should come easier now. I think I'll give it another chance. Wait, how long have you been asleep?
Time marches on, and the age of a new king draws nearer.
It's early in the morning, and Stroll has something to tell us. He asked Fabienne to look through Grius' stuff, and Gallica sees that he was investigating the curse too. As he tells us, there's a note here. Given the spell's complexity, it must have required a scribed formula. Hulkenberg is shocked knowing what this means, as Stroll wagers that if we find this formula, we have a shot at breaking it. Gallica is unsure, thinking the formula is lost for good. Stroll knows that, but we have little choice but to hope he wouldn't leave it unprotected. That's true, he is smart after all. Suddenly, Hulkenberg remembers something, dropping a flyer for a tournament for the throne. The popularity contest is state-sponsored now. It sounds interesting, but also just a thing to show face. Who really knows? Stroll has his doubts, thinking about it likely being fixed in Forden's favor. Hulkenberg thinks it bodes ill, as if the prince awakens, he may not have a throne to claim. This doesn't look good, but thinking about it, I'm an elder, an outcast, someone who can stand out. And honestly, it might be a way to get close to Luis, as I state that I'll enter the tournament. Gallica asks if I have even been listening, but Stroll seems to get what I'm thinking, adding that it sounds crazy, but he thinks I might be onto something, seeing it as a way to get closer to Luis, since, like Zorba said, he doesn't care for a tribe so long as you're capable, and an elder that has killed humans would put me in his good graces. Gallica is baffled, but like Stroll said, we just need to get his attention, not win the throne. Hulkenberg calls it quite the gambit, but it may work out. Gallica thinks it well and good to do that, but also sees the risk in it, which is fair. If I'm caught, I'm dead. But the prince's words from our youth rings in my head, and it gives me the motivation to do it.
In my ideal world, people can believe in their future. Their birth doesn't matter. No matter who someone is, they deserve a fair country. If it's to help achieve that, I will stand for the prince as a candidate for the throne.
With that little speech, my allies are rallied behind me, and we're left to actually apply for the tournament. Fabian is worried, thinking we've put ourselves in enough danger, not wanting us to go down the same path as Grius. But I reassure her, telling her that I have to carry on his legacy. She relents, knowing that it would make Grius happy. They'll be cheering us on though. She wishes she could do more. Maria is confused, wondering what the competition is. Fabian tells her that it's a big race to see who will be the next king. That gets Maria excited, saying she'll cheer me on as loud as she can. They tease me on Maria being my first supporter, and I join in on the fun, but Maria is down, saying we're not coming back. Cheryl reassures her, but she's still sad. But she rebounds, saying she'll cheer me on, hoping I win the race, since I'll be a good king. I thank her for the support, and Maria and Fabian leave us to talk. We're going to be needing two things. One, something to ride in like a carriage, and to actually apply to the tournament. Hulkenberg thinks we should split up for now. She'll leave us to register, and by the sounds of it, she'll look for a ride. Sounds good to me as we get going. We go up to a guard and tell him that we're applying. He sees us thinking we're a bit young and asking about me. I tell him I'm the one applying. He's shocked to hear, asking if I'm an elder and I want to enter. Guessing the novelty of that will win some looks. But the person standing there is familiar. Ah, crap, it's the captain's lackey. He seems to remember us, as we're almost caught for deserting, but he doesn't care, since there's no captain to verify that, telling me that I can represent the lesser tribes, so no one complains. The guard reminds us we need a carriage and leaves it at that. We're just gonna hope that Hulkenberg can clutch a ride, as we're left to look at the bounty posters. We seem to be behind, as most of the bounties have been snatched up, but one catches Gallagher's eye, a fiend named Heisme, a person wanted for kidnapping. He sounds like a horrible old bastard, if I'm honest. Suddenly a man butts in, telling us about Heisme, an elite ex-royal knight. He'd make short work of us. Besides, we hear what they're looking for, right? Gallagher knows they want the biggest head. He mocks us, adding that we have no chance of winning. They want kingly types, not children play acting. As he leaves with that, I agree, he was quite a little bastard, but Gallagher agrees since he's right about the rules, but Schroll reassures Gallagher that he knows what he's doing. I mean, I know where he's going, he must have a really big head, right? Gallagher looks at me bewildered, but Schroll tells us not to worry, he'll explain later. Suddenly a soldier appears, shocked. We take a bounty on Heisme, saying we're heaven sent, as he tells us the situation. The guard's name is Barden. He was the man who put the bounty up. That shocks Stroll, since this Heisme has made powerful enemies. But he simply says that he cannot afford lenience on top of his crimes. He started to kidnap the children, selling them off as well. If the city becomes known for the nightly disappearance, the town will dwindle and die. Gallagher is confused since he's just one guy. How come the guard can't handle him? Barden is honest, saying that he made his hideout somewhere too dangerous for the soldiers to tread, deep in the territory of a vicious giant worms. He's unsure how Heisme is able to manage not being devoured himself. That makes sense on why it would be hard, but alas, with all the trouble, Barden swallows his pride and posted a bounty. But it does not matter how many times he renews the bill, no one will take it. Hearing that makes me want to help even more, as I tell him he's not pitiful. Charles agrees, as it's not pitiful when it comes to protecting the people. He thanks us for the help, telling us that we will meet him at Marita, where we're going for the tournament, and leaves. Gallagher asks Stroll again if this is what we want. Stroll thinks that if we're going to make a big impact this late, we have to be creative. Besides, as a knight turned kidnapper, the man cannot be allowed to go on, something that I agree with, as I accept the quest. Not before an old man talks smack, but who cares, he'll probably die before he can run for the throne anyways. Regardless, we went back to the inn. Hulkenberg was waiting for us, assuming we had no problems. Stroll confirms, adding that we found a perfect target too. She's happy to hear Gallagher wants him to tell the bounty, but he brushes it off. To Hulkenberg's confusion, Stroll tells her not to worry about it. And how did she go? Getting a kingly carriage. She's made some arrangements, but from her wording leaves something to be desired. But she's sure it will come. Stroll takes what he can get, saying it's good to have a knight on our side. But that's when Hulkenberg drops the bombshell. That she's actually left the order, though. It's only her bond of service she's relinquished, not her title. If we want Louise's esteem, if it came to light that she was a knight in active service, it might cause some troubles.
He's surprised that she would do it so willingly, which she's honest and says that she's come to some doubt the order due to recent events of the knights serving the Sanctifex and not the royals. Sounds like she has her own demons, but regardless, we decide to call it a night. But at the late hours, Maria comes into the room. I ask if she would like to read more, but she replies, not today, asking if we're leaving tomorrow. She'll be cheering for me, so suddenly she starts to feel emotional, though she promised Fabienne she wouldn't cry. But I promise I won't tell. Maria remembers when I said that her father was trying to stop a bad man. That's what we're doing, right? She wipes her tears away and wishes us to be safe. She'll wait for us as long as it takes, and I reassure her, making Maria happy, asking when I see her next if I could tell her about the outside world. And I like the sound of that, so I agree. Suddenly, Hulkenberg wants to talk as Maria leaves. Hulkenberg says that since our meeting, she's done nothing but impose on me. Now we risk my very life. It's not an easy burden, it pains her to see it, but when she thinks that it might save the prince, she loses sight on all else. I mean, we're both on the same mission, so I tell her not to worry. Suddenly, she sees the book and remembers that we met before when we were bound for the capital. Of course I remember that. I got thrown out. She apologizes for that, thinking only to minimize casualties, and seems to take a slight interest in the book, wondering why such books are forbidden, and decides she would like to read a page or two. I mean, Stroll got to take a look yesterday, so I don't see why not. And I let her.
So it is a fiction written as if a personal account. This chapter seems to concern the system by which the nation's leader is decided. In this country, one cannot become even a statesman, much less sovereign, without the consent of the people. Those who aspire to statecraft must first solemnly swear before the people what they will do in service of their country. Should they earn title but break their word, they are denounced and stripped of power. Such is the authority of the people. In this way, it is the people who are the land's true king. Quite the opposite of our own country. Now I see why our upper echelons would abolish such texts. Had our lands embraced such accountability, perhaps His Royal Highness would not have suffered such a fate. No. As a knight, it's not my place to say. I must clear my head of these fantasies. In the end, clinging to a dream will do me no good. Oh, I suppose 'tis not so bad to dream now and then. It takes power to walk the path of our dearest hopes. Perhaps that is the purpose of this newfound strength. My dearest dream. 'Tis to save His Highness, even at the cost of my life. Nothing more.
Time marches on, and the age of a new king draws nearer.
Judah!
Lady Judah!
Faraway sky, blue and clear. Echo my wish, so that all may hear. One and all born to this land, as here we stand. Let us greet the rising dawn, hand in hand. Faraway sky, blue and white. Faraway sky so clear. Let life be alive. Let my wish echo. Sad soul far beyond the
Even I'm feeling the heat. Well, I suppose it's time to fan the flames.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome one and all to the inauguration of the Tournament for the Throne! For the first time, the crown is anyone's to claim, as long as the aspirants can complete 3 grueling challenges.
Wow! A Sanctus Crier! He's perfect for this!
Let's discuss the venues. We kick off in the west, in the Pearl of the Coast, the Principality of Oceania's harbour city capital, Port Brilehaven. There, they face their first challenge, the Exhibition of the Brave. Each contender must bring back the head of a monster, a mark of their prowess and courage. Next, our would-be monarchs head east. Upon the misty peaks, we arrive in the Principality of Montario's beautiful city of faith, Altaberry Heights. And finally, our heroes make their well-deserved return home to Grand Trad. But first, let's do introductions. It's time to meet those risking their lives for the crown. Closest to the throne, I know him, you know him. It's Sanctism's one and only 78th Sanctifex, His Eminence, Forden!
Victory to Sanctifex Forden!
I claim no great ambition, nor any heated calls to action. All I wish is to restore order for our people and to safeguard our land from the threats beyond. This chaos we face is but one of God's many trials. Let us restore our kingdom's glory together!
Moving right along, we come next to His Eminence's champion, the very spear in his hand, the warrior monk captain of the Crown Theocracy, Master Giddo!
I come before you only in loyal service of His Eminence. I relinquish the throne to him gladly. But those who would seize the crown by force, I will teach you to fear God and to fear me!
So much for this being a fair competition. How many horses do the Sanctus have in this race? Still, it's not over by far. The Luis supporters won't take this lying down.
What cowardice, Crier! Where's Count Louise?
Right, all right, settle down. At this time, I can report that Count Luis has not applied to enter the tournament.
What? He's not even entering?
Then what becomes of us? Our entire purpose in this race was to get closer to him.
Don't worry. He's definitely paying attention. He's only in second as it is, so we can't afford to ignore this whole production. Sit tight. I'm sure he'll make a move soon.
All right. For those Count Luis supporters, you might want to meet our next entrant. A rising socialite, a man of ambition, godless and fearless, the brash young warrior serving Count Luis, Gladel, the Black Hound!
Him? So he was one of Luis's men?
The fallen king embraced Sanctism and all its holy tenets, and for what? He was nothing before Lord Luis. Look to the sky all you wish. No god can save you! What our country needs is power!
Well, it's not quite all the contenders, but let's get on with the introductions. The great liberal merchant, it's Roger Ward. By war, by conquest, by right, it's Rudolph Kraus. In it more for the gauntlet runners than the throne, it's Lena Caden. Sure to be popular by pledging free drinks for life, it's Loveless O'Shea. Uplifting the beautiful and deposing the hideous, it's Milo Maurizio.
Wow, if we lose this, I think the country has some even bigger problems.
Now, I do believe we have one final candidate. Do we have an Elden boy present? Come on, let's see a face.
What? An elder? Disgraceful. Is this the only way you could think to distinguish yourself?
By the way, the ride you applied with still hasn't arrived. And if it doesn't show up by the time the noon bell rings, you're disqualified. All right?
Hey! What's going on?
That nitwit! What is he doing?
So, contestants, are you ready?
What? Last, I say! Wait! Found your behave!
A land runner?
It's quick!
Wait, it's headed right for the...
It'll crash!
Whoa!
What the heck is that?
Wonderful. So much for a first impression.
What ho? Isn't he a marvel, chums?
You dolt! You nearly brought down the cathedral! Have a care, you fool. It was bad enough when Luis did it the first time. That feckless, shameless old fool.
Not bad, kid. Guess you've got some interesting tricks up your sleeve after all. Right! I'd call that a full roster. Ladies and gentlemen, race across the land. Go! Prove yourself worthy and earn your crown. For the people, for the throne. Let the games begin!
We must take to the road.
Come on, come on! So fast! Gotta hold on to something or I'll get blown up!
It's incredible!
Man, what a way to start the race, but Hulkenberg didn't disappoint. A gauntlet runner. Gonna make things so much easier. Gallic is still having a hard time processing it, calling the pilot crazy, which she takes as a compliment. But we have our goal. It's going to take 4 days and 3 nights to get there, so we've got a long way ahead of us. Beats riding in a stuffy carriage any day. Stroll comments on how beautiful the gauntlet runner we're in truly is, hardly believing it's ours to ride. The pilot responds that it feels like ages since he's been out on the open road. This runner's been waiting long enough for her time to shine. Troll believes it's quite convenient that he can speak to us, telling him that we've got no money to pay him. But he doesn't want money, all he wants is a little gusto. Asking for Stroll's opinion on if this is a rush, Stroll agrees. They both get into the mood, and I gotta agree, this ride is fucking amazing. The pilot can see I have a good head on my shoulders. Hulkenberg comments on the person being different on the wheel, which is when Gallica asks for an explanation for this insanity, which is when we get introduced to him. His name is Neris, a Ishka, and former heir of a noble house, and personal mechanist for the royal family. Apparently he's a master engineer, positively peerless even, and that's when we get a little rundown of what happened yesterday.
Neoras? Are you there? I'm coming in. Even amidst all this commotion.
Too much to do.
As always. To business then. I must ask a favor. Would you be able to ready a carriage?
No new commissions. No time for them. Ask another right.
It is not the new one I require. Before His Highness disappeared, without a formal owner, I reasoned that it must now lie on you.
Pish and tosh, woman. She is for royal use and...
'Tis an unreasonable request, I know. But I... 'Twas specially made for His Highness, yes?
I've deadlines to meet, dash it! Off with you!
You've been acting stranger than usual. What ails you?
Whoa!
Good God. Is this a gauntlet runner? The very craft commissioned for His Highness the Prince? Even knowing His Highness was gone, still you toiled away. Oh, Nuras, you are an inspiration. Such nobility of purpose.
Yes. Right.
However, for a craft meant for the royal family, it is rather excessive, isn't it? Did you really build this vehicle exactly to that? You cannot mean.
Well, at first, certainly. I followed the blueprints exactly. A masterpiece like her? Collecting dust in storage? No! Unacceptable! Unthinkable!
I'm working toward a dream. And this poor old girl is going to help me see it through. And then, finally...
You imbecile! A lowly, brazen court engineer butchering His Highness's inheritance for a hobby!
Mercy, please! Look, take my head if you must, milady. But leave the Balliol runner alone.
Look, this runner, it is fully operational. Then I suggest you cooperate, for both our sakes. Finish your tinkering by tomorrow and bring it to the Grand Cathedral as soon as you can.
Eh? What's all this now? You play the proud soldier at me and then pluck it for your own schemes?
'Tis no scheme.
For His Highness, eh? Hold a tick. Haven't you been looking for him? Wandering across God knows where, last I heard. So if you're back now and now you want a gauntlet runner for His Highness? Is His Highness still alive? That's it! I've got you, haven't I?
'Twas His Highness who gave you refuge while you were only a heretical scholar condemned by the Sanctists.
Understood.
With storytime over, Stroll asks if the old Dark Neris can handle an undercover operation. Suddenly his voice chimes in, asking for a little faith. Not to brag, but his craft might be the fastest gauntlet runner in the kingdom, maybe even the world. Well, he's sure at least. That inspires faith. But he just says he's here to push the runner as far and fast as he can go, and he believes we'd rather not walk on foot, yeah? Which, I mean, yeah, of course. So I say, if we die together. Neris liked that response, saying, bold as brass. Gallica thinks that either way, Neris knows the truth about the prince, so we can't leave him to his own devices. Neris states that we do the fighting and he handles the greasework. Glad we can, as we're left to talk about the plan. Stroll starts by saying that the goal for the first trial, our destination is Port Brialhaven, the capital of the Western Principality of Oceania. Gallica adds that the head is our next goal and says who it is, which Hulkenberg was yet to be told as she asks about it. Stroll once again tells her not to worry, as we don't need to win, we just need to get Luis's attention. People are going to turn heads when we shake it up with a felon, a knight-turned-kidnapper at that. But Hulkenberg responds that we risk being disqualified. But then she thinks about it, if we win the people's attention, we may win Luis's. Asking for my opinion, it does seem like a gamble, but I trust Stroll, just like everyone here. Stroll tells her that the target is Heisme, an ex-knight, adding that it might be close to home, asking if she would like to sit back, but is actually invigorated as the title is more of a reason to apprehend him, saying that our fate rests in Stroll's hands. With that talking done, we're left to explore the massive gauntlet runner, which I've been dying to do. I look around and eventually found the heart of the runner, quite literally, as he proceeds to give us a quick rundown on how they actually work, using magla crystals as his engine. It's all super interesting. I may need a deep lore on them, but for now, I pass the rest of the afternoon reading.
The gauntlet runner arrives at the desert camp as the scorching sun sinks below the horizon. and the curtain of night falls over the land. Protected within the stalwart hull of the Gauntlet Runner, the party gains a short, peaceful respite.
It's now nighttime, and I decide to spend it by talking to Stroll inside the Gauntlet Runner, reminiscing on the day we became brothers.
Time marches on, and the age of a new king draws nearer.
The day starts on the Gauntlet Runner. The thing shakes around, so it's hard to get a wink of sleep when it's on the run, so I decided to hang out with Stroll to hone our blades. While we were maintaining our sword's quality with our whetstones, we talk about all sorts of things. Something I found out is in some ways Stroll is actually envious of me. He shouldn't be, just like him, I have my own moments of weakness. But I know I must keep going. And with our close conversation, my courage was taken to rank 2. And with that, we parted ways.
Coming now into view is the Tree of Prophecy, a resplendent tapestry of color against the backdrop of the bleak desert. One theory is that the tree's roots gorge on the land's magla, and still another is that it gorges on those enraptured by its colorful foliage, as though themselves snared by the bewitching magla surrounding the tree. The Gauntlet Runner comes to a stop at its base.
We find ourselves staring at the Tree of Prophecy. It's so beautiful, so massive. It's a sight to behold in the desert wastes. It's amazing what Magla can do if the legends are true. Suddenly, as our oohs and ahs echo in the desert, Neris gets to work drawing the tree, calling it meticulous documentation, giving it to me to keep since it's all in his head. He's still so fascinating to me, but regardless, Gallica thinks that we should show it to Maria, which I love the idea of. As we talk about some things, Neris is being an interesting fellow once more, and with that, we go back on the road.
The Gauntlet Runner arrives in a quiet clearing, concealed by boulders, as darkness reclaims the wilderness for itself. Monsters run rampant in the wilds. To sleep here would be perilous, unless from within the safety of a Gauntlet Runner. The party, secure in their Gauntlet Runner, spends the night in peace, hidden from hungry gazes.
During the night, I decided to talk to Hulkenberg, and I get some insight on a few things. We mainly talked about our forms that we take, our special power, I guess you can say. And from this, I found out that apparently Hulkenberg works up quite an appetite when she uses it, which I guess is neat to know, and by the sounds of it, she'll likely eat us out of House and Gauntlet Runner, which is worrying to think about as we continue to talk.
Time marches on, and the age of a new king draws nearer.
Finally! We're out of the desert! Oh wow, I missed all this green!
Why is it so bumpy?
That'd be the change in terrain, lad.
See, you got to let the suspensions get used to hard ground instead of soft sand.
Must be nice to fly everywhere.
What the? Did we just crash?
Of course not. That's
a cannonade.
My star is rising! Ah! Sanctism will reign!
What a way to start the day. 2 lackeys for each party are clashing. It looks like an intense fight, but from the looks of it, Forden's side is winning, which isn't good, and it might work in our favor if we save Gladel, a hand he might bring us closer to Luis, all things considered, so we announce our arrival not before a little warning from Neris, of course.
We're here to help! Withdraw, Gladel! Who goes there? Why do you stand for Luis's forces? Well, sorry, can't get into it now. That Gauntlet Runner. You're that commoner candidate who destroyed the Grand Cathedral! Was that not enough? You would profane the sacred a second time!
So be it. In God's name, be thou punished! You dare interfere in my fight! Know your place! Is it fame you seek? You thought by confronting me, you might lift your own names? Then you chose the wrong opponent.
I hate to interrupt, Oleg, but it's a touch more complex than that.
We of the Crown Theocracy's monk army have silenced all who would oppose the eminence of God. Your petty ruses are beneath me. Now you shall know how powerless you truly are.
Remember, the king's magic means we cannot move to strike Godot himself.
Go for his followers first. We'll thin their numbers and turn the tide.
Go, my brethren! Put the fear of God into these impious commoners!
I won't lie, I tested what would happen if I attacked Godot, and it went exactly as you would expect. Thankfully, I can reset. But overall, the fight wasn't all that crazy. It acts more like a showing of how fights between candidates looks like. I can't fight Godot, and the game makes him not really attack back for the most part, just looking smug. Because he knows he can't be hit until you take down a soldier, then he gets a little more serious. Then it got a little dicey. It didn't help that I mainly had physical abilities, stuff that the guard on the right resists, but with enough energy raise and my medi healing, we were able to put Godot on the back foot.
So, the faithful are broken before you, yet your desperate struggling is for naught. You cannot defy the inevitable. I am immune to all your wicked harms.
Oh, he gets to do whatever he wants, and we can't even get near him!
Bend the knee and yield to the Now, are you prepared for the end?
Ah, I think not, you rotter!
What have you done to my gauntlet runner?
We've nothing to lose. At the very least, I can thrash your old clunker until it's inoperable.
This is a waste of my time. So be it. You'll face your divine punishment soon enough.
Phew. Finally, he took the hint.
Hey! Get down here!
It seemed our new pal isn't too happy with us, butting in, kinda seeing through our plan, but I played dumb and just say I wanted to help him. Which, likely story wanting my true motive, while the girl with him asked him to be a little nicer to the people who saved him. Spectator for the whole tournament is here for some reason, not sure why, but he asks why the lady called Juna is doing all the way out here. She replies that sadly, Glidell is her chauffeur, and tells the guy to shoo or he'll have to pay for an interview. He takes the hint, seeming to be more interested in me leaving. Juna thanks us and compliments us, but I feel it's to rub it in Glidell, poor guy. Hulkenberg's having a hard time. I think she might be a big fan, as Juna apparently played at the opening ceremony. But who cares about that, as Neris has something bigger, better on his mind.
But that's... I'd know those suspensions anywhere. You had Caden workshop on this, eh? Yes, those are quality parts and no mistake.
By the crown, you can't be serious! She is Juna, the kingdom's greatest singer, the dulcet diva! Really? No one else wants to shake her hand? Well, then on behalf of this group,
You're an interest... Wait, is that a fairy?
Hey, up there!
We look up into the sky. It's the ship from the funeral. Neris is shocked that it's actually finished. Guess he knew the guy, but wait, if that's here, then that means Luis is here. His disciples gather around him, happy to see him, as Glidell is left to pretend he could have won in any situation. I mean, he even got the king's favor? Regardless, Luis thanks us, but then asks the obvious question, who are we? I say I'm a candidate. He seems somewhat interested. One look we'd be commoners, but a lady knight and a gauntlet runner? Says otherwise, and asks for my motives. I have to be careful. I could just say to avenge the prince and they'll go as you would expect, but I decided to continue the get close with Luis plan, saying I want to help him. He replies that I fight in his name. The short paraphrase thinks it's self-promotion. We did it, but Schroll replies that we will help anyone in need. That's our belief. Luis finds it most interesting, but his immediate needs are met in terms of sword hands. Juno is a little hype girl asking if we have a certain charisma to us. In fact, she dare say saw us use magic without igniters. Schroll gets a little too into it, saying we just want to see his vision realized. He just responds asking if we know what that vision is built on. We claim we're an ally, then we'll have to prove ourselves before the kingdom's eyes. If we can manage that, he may listen to us, as they all leave. Well, that could have gone better, but at least Luis knows our faces, so there's always an upside to these things, as we continue forward.
As the chirping birds return to their nests and the darkness claims its dominion, the gauntlet runner at last arrives at its repose, a place grown thick with trees. Are the sounds from between the trees just the leaves being caressed by the wind? Or are they the whispers of the beguiling beings of the dark? The party never has to find out, for they are safe within the Gauntlet Runner.
It's now night as we walk down the halls of the Gauntlet Runner. It sounds like Neris is having some issues, talking about his life being over, so I should probably check on him. We see how he is, but he says it's nothing really. I call him on that, and he relents, admitting that it's the Gauntlet Runner. Aye, she's in tip-top shape, but he wanted to make her peerless, a beaut. Something that would make Luis's runner look like a belly apricot. He wouldn't be floundering if he had a little spark. Gallica asks what he means, as he replies, a spark of inspiration, like when he saw that lost relic. Gela asks as Neris talks about some long ago civilization that's so advanced. Automation ruled the day. People lived around machinery. With no work, they lived their lives in convenience and comfort. Then suddenly, it all just disappeared. Sounds fascinating, honestly. That's when Neris asks for my help finding these relics. Hyping it up, I ask if he's seen one. He confirms, when he was a wee sprogget, the old man showed him, and seeing it lit a fire inside of him. After that, he was just full of ideas. Something about it just captured his imagination. Gallica asks if he could show him again, but apparently the guy went back to his hometown, but he has promised it in his last will. We ask where he lives, he tells us it might be a place we'll see in our travels, so I should keep that in mind as I leave Neris, who's all doom and gloom, and head to bed.
Time marches on, and the age of a new king draws nearer. Departing the capital and barreling southward, the party's gauntlet runner at last arrives in the old castle town, Artira, where their client Barden awaits. The towering castle's stark walls stare down coldly upon its visitors. The only question now is whether or not this gambit was the right move.
We arrived at the quiet town of Artira. Hulkenberg comments on it being more desolate than she heard. Barden gives us a warm welcome and we respond with the same energy and tells us about someone named Lady Joanna. She rules over the city and lives in the castle. Hulkenberg guesses she wants Forden to win, and Barden confirms bringing up a scuffle that happened a day ago, which we try and avoid for, well, obvious reasons. His lackey seems to not fully trust us yet, as we get invited to enjoy their local delicacy on their behalf. It's quite interesting. Roasted larvae of a giant sandworm. Quite an interesting speciality, all things considered. We're a little hesitant, but Hulkenberg just digs in, seeming to enjoy herself, so that's good at least. I give it a shot and flavors burst in my mouth. It's surprisingly tasty, all things considered. He's happy to see, although the idea of it twitching makes me feel queasy, honestly. With that interesting dish, Hulkenberg gets to business, asking about the kidnappings. For 6 months, 15 children now unaccounted for. Hulkenberg asks if Heismay is the guy, which he believes so. He's a disgraced knight with nowhere to run. He's without proof, but the pieces do fit. With nothing to lose, he appears to have gone rogue. Hulkenberg calls it unacceptable, and Stroll asks about the territory that Heismay has now called home, as we're shown a map.
So, is Heismay's hideout way out here? Looks pretty far from Martira.
Stroll wonders how he survived there. Barden replies he's been chasing any leads he can, but they can't figure it out. They're in over their heads. Well, that's why we're here, as I reassure him something he's thankful for, giving us another dish. Hulkenberg loves it, but I'm sure that's her iron stomach talking. Barden says that he will schedule a meeting with Joanna and to please rest our heads for tonight. And with a snarky remark from his lackey, they leave. And with all that travel and introductions, we've got a big day tomorrow, so I decide to rest while I can.
Time marches on, and the age of a new king draws nearer.
We wake up nice and early so we can meet the lady who rules over the small town. We bow to the lady, and Barden tells her that we're here to subjugate Heismay. She's happy to hear, thanking us for traveling all the way to do this task. Barden tells us that she refused to use the tax money for this task. She paid with her own heirlooms. Stroll thinks that's noble, wanting to do his best. She thanks us for helping them, while the other seekers of the throne bicker between themselves. Stroll thinks it's too high of praise since we're getting paid for this. She replies that even so, please put an end to this tragedy. Of course we will. We'll bring Heismay for judgment. She thanks us and thinks that it's foolish to decide a monarch with a popularity vote, but thinks there's something to it, adding on top of the money that we'll get, if we get rid of the culprit, she'll appeal to the people to vote for our support. This comes as shock, such a generous gift, but it may look poorly for someone a part of the church, but she personally believes in a king who truly cares for their subjects. A fair thing to ask for, something Hulkenberg agrees with, and with that talk, she bids us well, and we're left to talk amongst ourselves. Hulkenberg can see great pain behind her smile. Stroll hopes that we can help these people regardless of it being the plan. Gallica is unsure if she'll keep her word of the bargain, but we'll have to wait and see. But Gallica senses something is amiss. But now we have to decide on what we can do since Heismay is in sandworm territory. Hulkenberg thinks there might be a method for him to pass through unseen, wondering how, which is when Stroll thinks we should ask around, which is a fair idea, as we go around talking to all sorts of people around town, even some inside buildings. There are a good amount of people inside the taverns and inns. They must be scared to go outside due to the kidnappings, but I also used this time to get some equipment. Nothing too special though, but sadly no one could really help us. We're left to relent at the lack of any info. Hulkenberg believes it's too early to give up. Though she spent years looking for the prince with no luck, she still didn't waver. That's fair. Suddenly a very posh man walks by. Hulkenberg wants to ask him a question, but he can't help us leaving. Stroll thinks he's suspicious, but that's when we get a little help from Morris, of all people, saying he shouldn't tell us this, but the way to avoid the giant worms is to wait for an event called a sand flash. It's a local thing where the wind kicks up sand peppered with magic crystals. It should happen in 5 days and seems to put the wild beast to sleep. Sounds interesting. But Stroll brings up a good point of, if that's the case, then why haven't the guards gone out? Morris states that a whole guard unit would wake up the whole den, and they're no match for Heismay anyways. But he thinks we can do it. Well, thanks dude, I guess. He tells us not to die though, since Barden's rep is on the line. But also tells us not to tell anyone that we got the info from him. Hulkenberg asks why he didn't bring it up yesterday, but he didn't want to be our own travel guide as he leaves. He's very self-centered, but at least he gave us something to work with, so I guess it gives us 4 days to mess around, as we call it a day. During the night, I gave Neris the rundown of the plan, and he'll work on the runner, can't have it failing on us. That's fair. I go to leave, but suddenly I hear a sound and I see a strange device. He tells me, damned if he knows, just blueprints from the royal family, telling me not to break it. I was hit by a flash of light. As he checks up on me, surprised the thing is reacting, voting to stay put and resting. Yeah, I can agree with that.
Time marches on, and the age of a new king draws nearer.
The day starts off different, as instead of before I sleep, he called to me when I was about to wake. Moore sees my journey is going well. One by one, we're taking steps forward on this road. A supernatural awakening, a call for an adventure, legs to carry you. All of these things are coming together. Once again, he's talking cryptically, so I ask him what he means. He replies that his eyes report one piece of equipment in the Gauntlet Runner created in ancient times. Something no longer crafted in this day of age. A divine relic, which contains ancient magic once thought lost. Calling it teleportation. If used correctly, it will make our runner swifter than anything on land. The reason eludes Moore, but I seem qualified to use it. He cannot imagine it's mere coincidence, thinking me guided by an unknown hand, telling me to imagine vivid, familiar scenery, somewhere far from the land where I rest, and I try it out. I awaken to Daenerys asking, "What's going on?" As we look outside, somehow we're back at the royal capital. Hulkenberg asks Daenerys that surely he didn't bring us back. Daenerys calls her mad, reminding her how long the trip was. Can't just pop over to the capital in a single night. Well, I assume this may have been my doing, so I give them a quick rundown, which they seem shocked by it all. But Daenerys might know something. She was custom made for the prince. They gave him an odd gadget and asked for it to make it work, and he bloody well did. Last night we caught it glowing, and the damnedest thing, it only started to glow when I got close, thinking I was the trigger. Hulkenberg doesn't think she's heard of teleportation, but yet there can be no explanation other than magic. But Stroll thinks we've got bigger problems now, since we're due to Matira for the bounty and it will take days to get back. That's fair, but like, thinking about it, if I got us here, I should be able to get us out. Regardless if Gallica is worried, I know I've got this. And sure enough, believing in yourself does the trick. We're back at Matira. Leaving us shocked, Stroll comparing it to the king's magic. But Daenerys has a different opinion, saying that it's not powerful by one's virtue, but perhaps all magic has the potential of this magnitude, adding that we've got some powers that defy understanding as well. He's got a point, but since he brought it up, Stroll doesn't think they'll like this since it's unorthodox magic, wondering why the royals would have it, but Hulkenberg believes that since we have this magic, we may not need a gauntlet runner. That's true, we can just go anywhere, but I hope it doesn't work. I don't want Daenerys out of a job. But thankfully, it didn't, so the limit of this power is places we've been. Asking if there's been anywhere else I've been. Can't say I have. But Hulkenberg believes that we should understand the boundaries of the power now. We did some extra tests, but sure enough, we can only go places we've been. Something Daenerys is happy for, since he almost was out of a job. We can never replace you, Daenerys. But it's got some great news, since we can not only stock up at the capital, a place with a few more options, but we can also see Maria, which makes me pretty happy. But for now, we've got 3 days until we need to head out for the Sand Flash, so I look around and I see a guy from yesterday, but not before bumping into a guy who apologized and then left. The guy asks if I want to let him go. He stole something from me, and sure enough, Grius' dagger is gone. That jerk! We try to find him, but alas, he was too fast. So we have to hope the guy can give us some details, but he takes advantage of the situation. And alas, my imagination isn't high enough to convince him to help. So I better get to that, not before accepting a quest to kill a Gobrun king. So I'll have to do that, maybe tomorrow. For now though, I decided to talk to an elder in the town to get my imagination to level 2. And now that it's night and my imagination is level 2, I'm able to convince him, calling it a kingly investment. He finds that statement humorous, calling it quite a goal, but he'll bite, but on one condition. I have to do something for him. We get told about something called Malvino's Ring, a cursed treasure that kills all who wears it. Sounds deadly, and he talks a little more, but the most important thing in his talk is information is a powerful thing, and to mark his words. Once that dagger is sold off, it will be incredibly difficult to find again. Well, regardless of Gallica's worries, we have no choice in this. He's happy to hear I'm going to play a bull, introducing himself as Cackless. Real name or not, it doesn't matter. As he shows us the location of the tomb, it's a fair ways away, so I have to do it after the Sand Flash. As I finish the night, stealing my resolve and jumping with a rope around my waist.
Time marches on, and the age of a new king draws nearer.
Today we're going to a small town to complete 2 missions. One, we need to get something for a villager in Matira, and the second thing is to get that relic for Neris, so he can be inspired again. So let's get going.
The Gauntlet Runner heads off toward a small farming village, and each shuddering step reminds them of their journey's purpose.
As the Gauntlet Runner is traveling to our location, I decide I want to get closer to Hulkenberg. She's going to help me get stronger, but she's also strung stroll along on her little mission, getting us to show our beast walk. We're confused, we don't know what that is, but she gives us the rundown and it's gonna be embarrassing. But if this is how one gets stronger, better get on my 4s and do it. This feels so embarrassing, but there's more like the horned lizard stance. I'm 100% sure she's making these up on the spot, but Stroll is getting most of the punishment getting sat on. But he needs the training more, so I won't complain. But now we get into some swordplay, seeming to know this was my first time using a sparring sword as I'm effortlessly taken down while Stroll has seen better days. Regardless of my sword being broken, Hulkenberg wants to keep going. Stroll is unsure, but one should give their utmost even in training. Honestly, I could use the training, so I ask her to push me harder. She likes how I'm ready for anything. Stroll calls for a timeout, getting Hulkenberg to see some reason, as the training is a little excessive in his eyes. With the training over, she wonders if it was excessive. It's the same training she did with Rodanthe, where she's honest and admits his words have lingered on her. She cannot shake them. She has no clinging attachment to her previous position or status as a knight. She left to pursue her own mission, pride be damned. Yet, with all that looking, she never found the prince. She wandered aimlessly and leaderless, as she starts to think she cannot deny she's a fallen knight. Truthfully, she searched for the prince, something the other knights tasked with protecting the royals did not do, so she's more knightly than any of them, at least in my eyes. She seems to understand she shouldn't worry about it, but sometimes she wonders if she stayed as a knight, perhaps there may have been a better path, but then wishes to not think of what-ifs as our bond gets stronger. And with my sword broken, she thinks we should stop for now, until we can buy a new one.
The party at last arrives in the village of Comero, a small farming settlement southeast of Martira. Blessed by the mild climate, its ranches produce fine fare, and to take in its idyllic landscapes is to be at peace, as time itself seems to stop. It gained a reputation for its rare and wondrous goods, brought there by merchants in their longing to return. As though welcomed by the grazing animals, the Gauntlet Runner stops gently.
We arrive at Comero, the place the old man lived his final days, as we ask around, and unfortunately we were too late. He has passed away. But that did mean that we get the relic that Neris was asking for. As we give it to him, he seemed to be entranced by the thing. His staring is broken by his excitement, knowing that this is a real bona fide lost relic in his hands, thinking it's absolutely smashing beyond his wildest hopes. No bloody idea on how to use it, but still. Well, he's happy by the looks of it, asking if I got this for his sake. I'm honest and said I wanted to help. He's touched by my kindness, saying I may be a lad, but I got the heart of a saint. And then asked about the old man, and we confirmed that he's gone. He's saddened, but you can't beat time. That's when I remembered the villagers gave me a notebook. I handed him, we couldn't read it, but he seemed to understand it somewhat, as the mission is complete. Gallica asks what it is, and he says that it seems like the old fellow was hunting for some more relics, but didn't have the means to hunt the others. With these notes, Neris asks us for some help. He wants to find the other relics. It looks like the old man worked out some other locations, 7 to be exact, and he wants to see them with his own eyes. Anything for you, Neris. And with a simple handshake, our bond has formed, showing itself to be the heroic archetype of the gunner. With that, he tells us that he'll leave the journal here. If he can crack certain codes, he'll tell us so. We may take a look when we feel like some treasure hunting. That's when Gallica believes she may be able to sense it. Well, that's quite convenient. So that's our plan. We'll find the hint and Gallica will sniff it out with her face sight. But while we're at Comero, we also grab the practical pigeon parcel, and then use my teleport magic to head home. Now we're back into Matira, I awaken to the gunner archetype to complete Moore's quest. and then I hand the man the parcel and he's happy to see it, giving me a reward and bringing my popularity to 4,893. And I finish the night with a little more death-defying stunts.
Incredible!
All right.